Welcome.
Y'all are infidels. We're burning witches tonight. Not even Smokey the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
Someone in the comments picked him with a band-aid. That was good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I got to maintain some level of like, making sure that, your place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appeal to the casuals.
That's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
Well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or laziness. It's like, we'll just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fictionless and we'll just use new.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you. Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
And the mom shaming, a term typically used to highlight harsh judgment of birthing people.
Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit?
So then they just started coming up out of the fucking grates, man. It was nuts. Like, I'd never seen anything like it before. It looked like a Mario level.
Yeah, didn't they just start saying the N-word? I mean, it was just weird. I mean, I don't know. Oh, yeah, we're live. Hey, we're here for episode 81 of the Barroom Podcast, and I'm joined here with my, I can't call you guys lovely. I mean, look, I'm gonna be lying to myself if I called you guys lovely. I'm just gonna call you my male cohort.
Tolerable.
Tolerable.
Serviceable.
The Bar Bros.
Tolerable penis having cohorts. I think that's probably the safest thing that I can say to you guys right now. Look, we're in a world that doesn't.
Fest. Yep.
Look, we're in a world that doesn't make any sense right now. I mean, apparently you have demons attacking people in Miami. There's people who are complaining online about some. I don't know. The Last of Us cast some woman to play Abby who looks better than the actress that they cast to play actual Ellie, which just everything's stupid. Everything doesn't make sense. People are beefing over internet drama and stuff like that. But hey, we're here and we're back. We survived. We've made it out here. And I'm joined with my cast of people joining us here tonight. I know Eddie Brock is back with us. How you doing, Eddie?
Yeah, that's what we'll call me. Yeah, people. That's we'll claim that's what it is. Hello, everybody.
And with your third appearance on this show, you've now been on here officially more times than Cinnabunny. So there you go.
Oh,
you're climbing up on the rankings there.
Does that mean I gotta start showing more cleavage? Great.
Nah, she never showed her face. She's just a soft-spoken Italian girl from New York who won't leave.
I'll be talking like this then.
Also joining us here today, who's climbing up the rankings, now trying to pass Cassie, is our good buddy Orange Hat. How you doing today, Orange?
Doing well.
Also joining us here tonight, someone who has completely given up on trying to make the rankings here at our show, is our good buddy Rob Model. How you doing there, Rob?
I got some pretty terrible news at about 1 o'clock this afternoon that has nothing to do with me personally, but has everything to do with being a Titans fan. So yeah, that was a lot of fun today. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, that they fired their head coach, who was actually a pretty solid head coach. So now he's going to go to New England, and New England's going to start winning Super Bowls again. It's all going to be Tennessee's fault. So there we go.
Yeah, or the Chargers. The Chargers might overpay for him, so we'll see. But yeah, they'll win a Super Bowl for the Titans.
That's what the Chargers need.
That's if they don't overpay for what's his name, Harbaugh over in Michigan, who just won a national championship last night.
Yeah, they're saying Washington is more likely for Harbaugh because his brother's in Baltimore, and I don't know. Like, there's family reasons he might want to choose Washington, but we'll see.
I don't know. I still can't call them the Commanders. That's just fucking stupid.
The
And also joining us is our good buddy Cider. How you doing today, Cider?
I'm doing fine. I'm beaming to you from one of those fabulous New York tunnels. Oh, that must be the New York PD.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was good having you here, Cider. Well, we'll see you in 6 to 12 months.
I hope they're not the acidic PD.
Yep, that's the window.
Ah, crap.
They're breaking in. Somebody should do that for like a movie, Attack of the Killer Jews. Like, that would actually be a pretty like.
They did that once. It didn't go over nearly as well as we thought.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that stinks. Anyway, we got people joining us here. We're live on Rumble, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on X. X gonna give it to you. And our good buddy Vanya is here right now. Hello, awesome people. So hello to you, Vanya. Our good buddy Neozoic is here. Howdy, barroom crew and good folks in the chat. Question: which classic black and white legal drama would you rather watch? 12 Angry Men or To Kill a Mockingbird? I had the favorite To Kill a Mockingbird for personal reasons, because that's one I just always grew up watching. But I don't know about you guys. You guys have a differing opinion there?
12 Angry Men. I memed the hell out of it in high school.
12 Angry Men, because Paul Klugman, all he wanted to do was just go to a baseball game.
Jack Klugman. But yeah, 12 Angry Men is a great film. Sidney Lumet, 1957. I own it. I've never seen To Kill a Mockingbird because they pushed the book on us so much in school. I was like, fuck that. But yeah, no, I need to watch it. I know a lot of people really like it. So yeah.
It's a great performance from Robert Duvall.
Watch the movie.
Fuck
Can't remember
Bradley.
either.
Say what again?
Yeah, I watched the movie, read the book. Can't remember either of them, but so I would have to watch it again to really familiarize myself with it. So I'm going to say To Kill a Mockingbird.
And then bonus question from Neo here says, which Clint Eastwood iconic role would you more prefer, Man with No Name or Dirty Harry? I think obviously Dirty Harry has been, like I said, memed to death, so you kind of figure that it would be that one. But I perfectly prefer Man with No Name. Is a far better movie. So
yeah,
Right Turn, Clyde.
I mean the Leone movies are just, to me, superior than Dirty Harry. But I've also never liked Dirty Harry. I actually like the sequel better. I don't know. I don't even know what it's called. Is it Magnum Force? I forget what the sequel's called. But the sort of Zodiac Killer, the first one, just was too over the top for me.
I enjoy the Dirty Harry movies more sometimes than the Leone movies, simply on the basis that the Dirty Harry movies take place in a long bygone San Francisco, where the gritty streets of San Francisco are uniquely clean at the time, surprisingly enough, not filled with human poop or needles. And I just enjoy drug addicts, surprisingly enough. And I love that shot from Dirty Harry where he's like taking the guy down in Kezar Stadium. I'm not going to say what he was because I don't want to get banned again. He takes down that guy in Kezar Stadium, and you hear that, you get that big wide open shot. He goes, yeah, oh my God, that was great. Great movie.
Also joining us here is our good buddy Duke Nukem, speaking German Islamic nonsense, is the best I can describe here. You too, exactly. Who else
That's
do we
from
have
SpongeBob.
here?
That's from SpongeBob.
Dude, I stopped watching SpongeBob in like 1999. I don't get all this SpongeBob memes on the
I never watched SpongeBob because I thought it was retarded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was the time that I run my course with children's programming, and I moved on to better things like
well, whatever. Be a fucking adult. See if I care.
Exactly. I miss SpongeBob. I know what you were talking about.
Thanks.
I like Duckman
Hello,
better
child.
than SpongeBob. Ed and Eddie is better than SpongeBob. Fucking Plank is better than SpongeBob.
Top Cat is better than SpongeBob. I said it.
Oh wow, that's
fucking Duckman. His eyes are in his glasses. Is better than SpongeBob.
Oh, you think that's a throwback? How about I bring up Jabberjaw or Hong Kong Phooey?
Oh,
We're gonna take it way back tonight.
Whoa.
We're taking it way back.
See, I was one of those clever middle schoolers, and I learned what Hong Kong Phooey's name was, so I replaced fuck with Phooey in school. So when I wanted to say fuck, I would say Phooey, and all the kids knew what the hell I meant, but the teachers were like, "Oh, that's quaint. You're adorable."
That's so cute.
They don't remember their childhood.
Duke has an interesting question here. Which anime power would you like to have and why? If I had to choose something from an anime, and I'm not gonna go gay and pick Dragon Ball Z like all your other weirdos, I'm gonna pick Digimon. I would pick Alphamon, and I'll just be a royal knight and just blow everything up because I have a power issues. That's all I have.
Yep.
So what about you guys?
Severe insecurity complexes, right?
Oh yeah, like the best villains.
To that point,
go ahead.
I was going to say, to that point, my anime superpower would be to randomly collect girls to be my harem, even though I desperately don't want them to be.
Oh.
I never liked the idea of harems to begin with, because this is kind of like a side rant here, but the whole idea is that, oh yeah, you're gonna spend like 20-something episodes with a whole bunch of hot chicks that you're never gonna sleep with, that you're always gonna get teased that maybe there's a chance, and it never actually happens, and then the series ends and you're still a virgin. It's like, that sounds like pain. That sounds like suffering. Like, imagine like living in like the Playboy Mansion for like a year and never sleeping with one single woman. And it's like, why would I even be there? Why would I do that to myself?
To listen to them talk. They have things to say.
Ancient Japanese art of brew ball. Thanks for laughing, Eddie. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, you put my other one over, so I gotta,
Yeah.
I'm thinking really hard about this. What anime power would I want? I mean, it's kind of hard not to say Dragon Ball Z because, well, being a Saiyan would be like god tier ability.
Yeah, and blonde hair,
which I'm always jealous of.
I would, if I can't pick DBZ, I'd probably pick Yu Yu Hakusho, Spirit Detective shit.
Just like normal demon slashing abilities with.
I mean, basically any of the powers in there, man. I'd love to freaking pull out a rose whip and start slaying folks.
Sounds cool.
Don't need a gun.
My other problem is like the two animes. Well, I guess you say three animes that I love the most would be Cowboy Bebop, Black Lagoon, and Death Parade, and there really aren't any like powers, especially in those. Like they're just people. There's no superhero powers associated with those shows. So.
The superhero powers are bullets.
I was gonna say the power I'd want is Sanji's power to endlessly smoke cigarettes and not get lung cancer. So it's been like 30 years that guy's been smoking cigarettes, and not once has he hacked up any blood. So at least from the cigarettes,
it's all dirt.
I mean, I definitely like Kurama's power to control plants however I wish. That'd come in handy in my area.
I commonly use the anime power found in Ramna 1/2, the anything goes school of martial arts special attack running away.
I think Cider just definitely his ears perked up at hearing the power to control plants.
the weed, yeah.
Yeah, poison ivy.
He's high, so there was a delayed reaction there. So
that funny graphic where you'd show the hamster inside of somebody's head and he'd get tired and lay down and it'd slow down. Mine's not even running. It's just having a doobie and like whatever, man. I'm on break.
Rob, are you an anime fan or are you not a degenerate?
No, I have nothing positive to say about anime, so I'm just gonna stop talking now.
Fair enough.
He probably believes in the Matt Walsh doctrine that anime is for devil worshippers.
Oh yeah. So the news.
Yeah, that sounds like Rob. You bet. That's definitely. He's the guy that's gonna bring up the devil worship. You bet.
Yeah. Especially something attached to the Daily Wire. That's definitely all in Rob's wheelhouse,
that's totally right. He just never shuts up about the Daily Wire. That Rob.
Rob's thinking to himself right now, if I block Orange Hat, would anyone get mad? So
he knows I'm fucking.
So here's the thing.
I hate Ben Shapiro too, Rob. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
I think they're all fucking nutcases over at the fucking Daily Wire. So
I like Michael Knowles. I don't agree with him about anything, but I like his smarmy like debate style. He's entertaining to watch.
Definitely.
When it's a woman.
I think the only rapper who, I think the only person who Rob hates more than Ben Shapiro is probably Tom McDonald. I think he's probably like the number one pound for pound hating guy on Rob's list. Is he still number one, or has somebody surpassed him?
Yeah, I don't know. He's really annoying, but it's like, he's a lot easier to ignore because he's not constantly like being shoved into the algorithm. I mean, occasionally he is. He'll go on someone's podcast, or God forbid Christian Toto, shares a single of his from YouTube on Twitter. So things like that. But Ben Shapiro is a lot more in front of the camera. But
Tom McDonald, that's America Ice, right?
He's the guy that's saying white boy.
Yeah.
All
right.
I like him.
He's the rapper who talks about they, but then never mentions who they are. So
they. Of course, he can't mention who they are. They're only the titles.
There we go. So here's the thing. Caitlin Dever has been announced to play Abby in the HBO Last of Us thing. Now, here's the thing. This is why casting in Hollywood makes absolutely no sense. This is who they have playing Ellie in The Last of Us, and then this is who they have playing Abby. It's like, shouldn't that be the other way around? Is that just me?
Yeah, I said something similar today, and
they should have got a man to play Ellie or Abby. I mean, Jesus.
Right. It's a butch lesbian character at the best. The best version is a butch lesbian. The worst is like a man, which is the meme that went around when that game came out. So people were arguing with me, like, why can't it be an attractive? It's like, look at what the game looks like. Are you being honest right now? Are you like those people who say they don't see color? Because you sound like a fucking idiot.
I don't see color. I only see race.
Wait a minute. That's not how it goes.
That is how it goes. That's how
who else do we have joining us here?
I'm a god, Bubbles. I don't see race, you filthy macaque.
Alex versus Evil. Kate's joining us here tonight. Bonnie Rad says, what's going on with the NYC total? Just go on X and figure it out. There's some things happening, and it could be either way. 12 Angry Men is the best film to watch for school. Watch it for my law business class. Fair enough. Who else we have here? We got Dante joining us here on the show tonight. If anyone tell me who is Echo? We'll get to that later on in the show. There's definitely enough time for Echo chilling when we get to that part of the show. And who else do we have? Alex vs. Evil loves Tom McDonald. You were always the least favorite.
Somebody's ears just perked up, and he's not here yet. So at the mention of Echo.
Oh, Echo. Well, he'll be here later, so I'm pretty sure he'll tell us all about his Echo. Yeah, they're all messed up with the Daily Wire. I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with that one there. And then who else have? Caitlin is in her mid 20s when they shot the first season. She's 10 years older than Ellie. Like I said, nothing about this makes any sense to me. But then again, I stopped trying to make sense about anything that Hollywood is doing at this point. So there we go. Those are introductions to our intro for the show. So we got a lot of stuff that we're going to deep dive into tonight. So let's go ahead and start this one off with Pat McAfee, because this is a story that's been blowing up for the last couple of days. This one has definitely gotten people into a rabbit hole over stuff that's going on. So let me just kind of rewind what happened here. Last week, Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee's show, made a joke about Jimmy Kimmel possibly being on the Epstein list. Jimmy Kimmel had an online meltdown in response to that. And then in response to that, of course, there was threats of lawsuits. McAfee had to come out and say that he apologized for the segment or whatnot to avoid being sued. And then after the course of that happened, Jimmy Kimmel last night went and did a 7.5-minute monologue about Aaron Rodgers based on that whole thing. So literally got them to back down, and then went on a monologue about him. Now, Aaron Rodgers did respond to Jimmy Kimmel today, but it was also 7.5 minutes long. Maybe we'll save that for another week, but there's, like I said, a lot of beef going on between Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel over this whole Epstein list. But this is the more interesting story right here, is that a couple days ago, Pat McAfee on the show mentioned an ESPN executive by name who may or may not be trying to sabotage his show. So this was the first video here that got a lot of people's attention.
Anyways, we're very appreciative, and we understand that more people are watching this show than ever before. We're very thankful for the ESPN folks being very hospitable. Now, there are some people actively trying to sabotage us from within ESPN. Funny. More specifically, I believe Norby Williamson is the guy who is attempting to sabotage our program. I'm not 100% sure. That is just seemingly the only human that has information, and then somehow that information gets leaked, and it's wrong, and then it sets a narrative of what our show is, and then are we just going to combat that from a rat every single time? I don't know. But like somebody tried to get ahead of our actual ratings release with wrong numbers 12 hours beforehand. That's a sabotage attempt. And it's been happening basically this entire season from some people who didn't necessarily love the old edition of the Pat McAfee show to the ESPN family. Sure. There's a lot of those. We've heard them anonymously quoted in the Washington Post, in the New York Post, in the New York Times, in the LA Times, in Wall Street Journal. And they're never like, yeah, love the show. This is awesome. It's always like little things to try to tear us down. So even with the enemy within our own camp, somebody that I don't like that guy. That guy left me in his office for 45 minutes, no-showed me in 2018. So this guy has had zero respect for me. And in return, same thing back to him for a long time. So even with that taking place and potential PR, like we're still growing somehow. Yep. So we're very thankful. Yeah. I think we're doing it right. We're trying to do it as right as possible.
So that's really the clip that went viral there that got everyone talking. Now, obviously, if you guys don't know the story, Pat McAfee had a big YouTube show, had a big following. He grew to the point where people were listening to his show more than a lot of others that actually were on ESPN at that time period. So what does ESPN do? They essentially buy their competition and give him a big fat contract. I think it was like 18 to 20 million a year, somewhere around that range when it's all said and done, to bring him on to have his show there. Now, his fan base initially rebelled against this idea of him going to ESPN because the reason why people were listening to him in the first place, because he wasn't like the ESPN shows. Then you go over to ESPN, and it's not really shocking to hear that people are trying to sabotage his show because, one, it's Disney. Like, what did you expect? It's like Pat McAfee's known for, I don't know if he's personally more of like a right-leaning guy, but at least his audience definitely is. He has Aaron Rodgers on there, someone who the left doesn't like every single week and says things that, people don't like. So given the atmosphere of the company that you work for, it's kind of understandable to see why people wouldn't like you to begin with. And you kind of have to expect that, hey, people are digging in behind the scenes, sharpening those knives behind you. Pat McAfee has talked about in the course of the year that he got put on, what was it, the college game day thing for the Saturday morning football, and people were really mixed about him, and he was saying, hey, maybe I won't come back next year, I'm just here to have fun and whatnot. So he kind of just wants to do his own thing, but at the same time he's finding he's having a lot more headaches over the last few months dealing with ESPN, which I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you were expecting. Everyone could have told you that this was definitely going to happen at some point. Now you're in partnership with Disney, with ESPN. I don't know how many years he signed off for, but it seems like he's noticing that people are behind the scenes are trying to sabotage the show, and he's calling people out by name. I think even ESPN had to do like a press release basically defending the person that he talked about here, saying that there was no sabotage or anything like that. I think they even did a press release burying him with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, saying that Aaron Rodgers was stupid to say what he said, basically taking Jimmy Kimmel's side, because like I said, Jimmy Kimmel has been associated with Disney for like almost 20 years now. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening. It's almost like the wheels are already falling apart, and it hasn't even been, honestly, I don't even think it's been 6 months since he's been at ESPN. So yeah, there's a lot of drama going on already. Rob, I'll send this one off of you. What are your thoughts on Pat McAfee airing out his dirty laundry with ESPN?
Yeah, well, it seems very contradictory because ESPN wanted him, so I guess boost their ratings, but they also have an executive who's trying to sabotage or not, at the very least, not work with Pat McAfee and his producers, because there's some kind of rift here. There's some kind of a, excuses for bad ratings or not achieving the results that maybe he promised or negotiated. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I've never liked Pat McAfee, probably because he's a former Colts player, in the Titans division. But just separate from that, like, I never really understood why people liked him, why he showed up in WWE randomly. He's kind of an asshole, in my opinion, but like, I don't begrudge him success. He's grown that show, from just a podcast to what it is now. So he certainly deserves credit for that. I don't know what the hell is going on with Disney in general. Disney has, I said this on Friday night, the Blazing Saddles stream. Disney as a whole is really fucking up. It's their movies, Marvel and Star Wars is in the dumps. You have, I guess, Echo coming out soon, which, really, like, I was watching the sort of carpet event for it, and it was just like, it just felt so incredibly try hard. And like they're trying to push a turd out the window, So as a whole, I think Disney is kind of fucking up in general. So, and ESPN is not exempt from that. So, we'll see what happens going forward. But this is weird to just kind of come out and call out your, I don't know what you call them, executive handler, for ESPN. So,
yeah.
Not a good look.
So here was the follow-up real quick, and then I'll go to you guys. This is the follow-up from Pat McAfee. He kind of doubled down by what he was saying, that there were people behind the scenes that are working against him, but he's saying that he doesn't want to leave ESPN, that he's saying that he still likes the people in charge at Disney. But this is what he said here. This is last night at the national championship game.
Houston, Texas, at the national championship. ESPN has set us up pretty good here.
Oh yeah, they have.
Now, there were some comments about one particular person at ESPN. Sure. That I made only on the YouTube ESPN Plus show. That wasn't even on linear TV.
What was that?
I didn't know anybody was going to hear it because it was just on digital.
And no one does digital.
I guess everybody did hear it. It was a topic of discussion, obviously, the entire weekend.
Sure.
And the only thing that I'm like super bummed out about it all is that a guy that we like a lot, a man that watched the game with us in the suite, Burke Magnus, who is currently new guy in charge at ESPN, right below Jimmy Pitaro. I guess he was kind of made to look bad because of what I did and how I did it. I would like to let everybody know we love Burke Magnus.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Love Burke Magnus.
Love you, Burke.
And also love Jimmy Pitaro.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Love Bob Iger.
What?
But there is quite a transition era here, between the old and the new. New. And the old don't like what the new be do. You know what I mean? So there is certainly going to be a couple of that, but we're very thankful. A lot of people are saying I'm trying to get fired. No way.
Whoa.
What ESPN has been able to do for us, more specifically, whenever they do things like this, you have no idea about the crew behind the scenes here that we've been working with basically all year. Not only on game day, but for our show, whenever we're traveling, we got nothing but love for all of these people. Now, there's certainly people we do not like. Certainly.
Naturally.
And they do not like us. That's how it's going to be. And I don't take back anything that I said about said person. But the overall storyline about us and ESPN, I think people need to remember, we're strong, baby.
Bingo.
We are strong, baby.
So there you go. I mean, like I said, there's clearly a power struggle there, but I mean, who's going to balk first, I guess we'll figure out in the months to come. So, Eddie, I'll shoot this one over to you. What's your take on ESPN and Pat McAfee here?
Just watching that, I'm more impressed by McAfee than I was before. Because before it was like, before it was almost like sniping at a boss, a mid boss, just, some middle manager that's in the way of you actually talking to your real boss,
Yeah.
But, no, after that, like first off, Pat McAfee really learned a lot from wrestling because he learned to praise every single person around, except for the person he doesn't really like.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was really smart of him. And to call the guy out by name is it's pretty ballsy too, I think it's a smart move, to be honest. I mean, people like Pat McAfee, they respect Pat McAfee. I know a lot of people that like Pat McAfee. I wasn't much like Rob. I wasn't much of a fan of him at the beginning, but no, like a lot of people kind of like see where he's coming from and everything else. I think, and you got to remember that this is Disney, and they also own ABC, so I wouldn't be surprised if this middle manager that's trying to get in with who's trying to get in with ESPN also might also try to get in with Jimmy Kimmel's show on ABC. You know, so
yeah,
there's a lot of different pathways this thing can really go, and this guy's it seems interesting.
Yep. Orange, I know you're not too big of a sports fan, but we've talked about Pat and played some of his clips here over the last several months, and obviously we've talked a lot about Disney. So, do you think that this relationship is meant to last, or is this probably the beginning of the end here with McAfee and ESPN?
Probably the beginning of the end. I mean, if you go after a freaking executive of a business, you're basically putting a target on your back. There is, I mean, I've seen so many things over the last few months, really, where people have talked shit about their bosses or about people who are higher on the food chain than them, and they've ended up getting fired silently. And then they end up having a lot more freedom to say what they want, and it's like, yeah, well, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next? Fuck you too. And honestly, I don't pay much attention to ESPN because I think it's no longer, it's not sports. They stopped talking about sports. All they care about is fucking politics and shit. That's when I basically tuned out of ESPN. So I really have no opinion about it beyond that, because I really am not up to date on what's going on in it. So, I mean, if you want to freaking talk shit about your bosses, you're probably going to get your ass fired.
Like I said, they're gonna lose a lot of money. And I think that the big thing with Pat McAfee is that when they brought him in, they let go of a number of ESPN personalities in order to pay his salary or cover his salary. So people lost their jobs in order to bring him in. And then, like I said, you're already burning your bridge one way or another with him. It just doesn't seem like smart business. But then again, what has Disney done over the last 10, 15 years? It actually has sounded like smart business. So this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Cider, what do you think about this?
You work at the same network that Keith Olbermann got bought back into. Okay? Like, what are you thinking, pal? Where did you think they were going to come down on any of this? It doesn't matter what your camera guy thinks. Let them do great work. It doesn't matter what your producer thinks. Let them do great work. It doesn't matter what your audio guy thinks. Let them do great work. When your executive is your enemy, your executive producer is your enemy, it's over with. You are a ticking time bomb, because that person doesn't need you. You are just the flapping gums talent to them. You're just this little caged bird that they have. At any point, they can pay off your contract or force you to pay off your contract. And so, again, like, you think you're a hero going out on the camera that these people put you out in front of. And their kindness, their mercy, their interest in the money you can get them keeps you there, okay? So I'm just telling you, you go into the lion's den. Don't be surprised when you get bitten. Think about it, right? Like, you work for Disney, and you go taking a shot at somebody who clearly has done shady shit in Hollywood. What do you think is going to happen to you when you're at Disney, like the epicenter of all the shady shit in Hollywood? They have a 9-acre underground shady shit tunnel network. Okay.
Like I said, like, Pat got heat when he announced this deal last year because everyone knew what Disney is in 2020. Everybody knows what Disney is. Everybody knows what ESPN is. Like, everyone knows the connotation of being associated with that brand, right? And it was a mistake because, look, Pat was making good money before he signed the deal with ESPN. I believe he was getting paid like I think he just signed like a $70-something million deal with like DraftKings to do his own show like independently or something like that. So I have to check the numbers there. He was getting paid pretty good money outside of the ESPN deal, but of course, because his show was more successful independently, ESPN was like, well, no one's watching, the secondary Stephen A. Smith show of the day, and he's killing us on time. So it's like, okay, let's buy out our competition. And this is essentially what happened. And people were saying that no, don't do that. It's not going to end well for you. Then here we are. I mean,
but that's a good thing, because you're buying out your competition. Okay, your competition is now on your network. If you think that your competition is not going to say something shitty about your network when you have an executive, I mean, you came into this. Pat McAfee seems like the kind of guy. Don't know him, But Matt McAfee seems like the kind of guy who's willing to do business. He puts over Bob Iger. He puts over all the other executives at Disney. I don't think this is really a Disney issue. He has no issue with Disney. He also doesn't seem to have much of an issue with ESPN. It's this one dude who probably has some, Stephen A. Smith is maybe going into this producer's ear. Jimmy Kimmel might be going into the producer. This guy has some kind of an agenda possibly against somebody like Pat McAfee. And then you have Pat McAfee saying things, having Aaron Rodgers come in and say his piece. If we're gonna go after like the executive, he's going after the executives or the executive, one executive, by the way, the executive we all hate at Disney. So, so that's our guy almost.
So keep in mind, before his ESPN deal, he had just signed a $30 million a year sponsorship deal with FanDuel right before he had made the announcement for ESPN. So then he got negotiations with ESPN. Apparently his current ESPN deal right now is about $17 million a year, and that includes like other appearances on like other shows like as well. So him doing like College Game Day, him doing like the college football football commentary. So he's appearing on like other stuff like as well. So, but like I said, he was making at least $30 million a year just on sponsorship by FanDuel alone. So it wasn't like he was in a position where he needed to go there. He just wanted to take the money that they were offering. So it's a situation where if they were to cut ties with McAfee's going to do just fine. He'll probably get even more people on the back end now that he's broken off that ties there. And then ESPN, like I said, Disney doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They're going down with the ship, and they're basically smacking away any hands trying to help pull them out right now. So
it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't on Disney, and McAfee's the one that switched it around by naming names and pointing this stuff out. Now Disney's on the hook. They either have to pay this guy out or they got to have him be on the air, and he's going to say his piece on this one guy as much as he possibly can.
Yep. Because like I said, they were doing stuff, in the shadows behind the scenes where no one could see him, and Pat basically took that lamp and turned it around. And I was like, oh God. It's like, that's pretty much what he did.
Yeah, I give it to him for that one. Good swerve, bro.
Let's jump in our good buddy Rick, who's joining us here. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah.
Are you not hearing me?
No, we hear you now, but that's fine. Oh. Yeah, like I said, Neil Zoic saying here, Disney always makes bad decisions. So, yeah, it's just trash. But any final thoughts on this one before we jump over to our next story?
I'm just enough. Yes, my one thought is his name is Norby. That's his actual name.
Yep,
Norby.
Oh, okay.
You think that kid got bullied in high school?
He's not
the Eddie
Norbert,
Murphy character.
even?
Norbert.
Well, Norbert.
Not to be confused with Norbert, the movie with Eddie Murphy movie.
Yes.
It's really Norby. Is his birth certificate name?
Right.
Wow.
Tell me this dude doesn't have a grudge against jocks.
Tell me he isn't a sociopath with a basement full of Boy Scouts like that. Jeez.
And it is Disney. And it is Florida.
Oh no, you're right. It's Disney. Be prepared.
And they do have tunnels.
Right. So there you go. Pat McAfee is going to turn out to
that's
be one
the
of the
best
Zodiac
way to.
killers.
That's the best way to get to. That's the best way to get to Uncle Walt's frozen head.
Oh, that's right.
By going through all the tunnels.
Maybe that's why he works for them, is so he can find the head.
Oh God!
And if you want to know what Norby Williams looks like, this is a picture of Mr. Williams.
That dude got picked on as a kid.
So that would be a pretty good little adventure book. Like, you remember the Hardy Boys? So you got Normie and the Crystal Head and Walt Disney's Crystal Skull. Okay, it'd be great. You got a little adventure series where he's like exploring all of Disney's vault of stuff.
And then he bought one of the
that would be no
Norby and the Song of the South.
That would be more. No, I think that would be a case for the three investigators than it would for the Hardy Boys.
I would totally buy the story if Norby had went to the gift shop and bought like one of those Disney snow globes, and then he's gonna do like the Indiana Jones thing where he switches the snow globes with Walt's head. You know?
Right, exactly. Yep. But it's one of those Chinese ones, so it's not
Right.
heavy enough.
That's why it sinks in.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead
Made of lead.
and so we'll go ahead and jump over to our next story here. This is one about Charlize Theron. So quick little note here, I guess as a
Is that how you say it? I've been
Charlize
calling her
Theron.
Charlie's.
Charlie?
I mean, I just
Charlize
heard people have heard it pronounced Charlize, so that's the way that I've always pronounced
Oh,
it.
okay.
But, I mean,
I've just been
Charlize.
screwing it up my whole life.
Charlize Theron.
If you mispronounce it, you're racist. Just like if you mispronounce the vice president's name, you're obviously a racist. Same way
right.
here.
Yeah, she's an African American, guys.
Yeah,
she's an African
Right.
American.
Carmela Harris. Yep.
She is an African American.
Yep.
She's from South
Carmela
Africa.
Harris.
She
Charlize Theron.
Africa.
Yeah,
she
she's an
legitimately
African-American.
has more African blood than our vice president. That's all.
Our vice president is basically a Snickers bar, right?
Yeah. But so
Mars
this
bar.
is a story. This is a story here that I covered a few years ago, actually, on the site. Oh, this is what I was leading up to. By the way, my site's back up. So just in case you guys were wondering here, I put it in the chat below. It was down for the last couple of months because I had to do a lot of retooling. We had lost the name, not the name, but I guess the URL there for a while. So I had to go revamp that one and kind of retool the entire thing of the site. It's back up and running now. I put up all of my backlog reviews, podcasts, and all that stuff up there. Actually, it looks pretty slick. For all things considered here, but I want to go ahead and bring up this article that I wrote years ago, and I know the headline here may be a bit provocative, but I mean this is what I wrote at the time. I said that Charlize Theron's F- parenting skills proves why she's still single at the age of 43. This is something that I wrote about 5 years ago. Yeah, we're coming up on 5 years ago now. And essentially the story here is that she was complaining at the time about the fact that she's single at the age of 43. Then I think she's almost 50 now, but nobody apparently wants to date her. And you would think to yourself, well, Charlize Theron is a hot look. She's an attractive woman. I think we can all admit that. I mean, if you go back and watch her in, what was it, The Devil's Advocate, I can say that she was smoking hot in that film. The problem obviously here isn't her looks. Like, that's not what's keeping her from getting any dates. The problem here is that she's an absolute ghoul of a human being. And what I said here is that, you know, she was talking about how at the time she raised her 3-year-old adopted son to become transgender because apparently, according to her, at the age of 3 years old, he decided that he wasn't going to be a boy anymore and that she was going to be the super progressive mother. Here's what she said at the time. He said, I thought she, like I said, when she says she's talking about her boy child, was a boy until she looked at me. Yeah, right. Until she looked at me and said that she was 3 years old and says, I'm not a boy. So there you go. I have 2 beautiful daughters, just like any parent. I want to protect and see them thrive. And as they were born, they know exactly who they were in the world. And both of them get to find themselves and grow up and who they want to be. And it's not for me to decide. It said, my job as a parent is to celebrate them and love them and make sure they have everything they need in order to be what they want to be. So the
Munchkin
too long
syndrome.
didn't read. The too long didn't read version of this story is that she let a 3-year-old child change her gender, and she's been raising this adopted African boy as a girl for the last several years. And then somehow she's wondering why, as a single mother of 2 adopted children, how she can't get a date at the age of 43. So this was just a few years ago, and now we're circling back around here with the next story because she's been all in on protecting the trans community. She went on RuPaul's drag show not too long ago, once again making yet another statement in support of transgender and the drag community and all this stuff that goes along with it. She went on the show season 16. By the way, it's mostly women watching this. You would think that it's probably gay men. No, it's mostly women who are watching RuPaul's Drag Race, just in case you guys didn't understand. But given the climate in our country right now, there's been a lot of energy put towards your community being the trans drag community not existing. And I truly believe that all of that is coming from a place of fear, she said. The beauty of your community brings it to, and the truth of who you are and represent will come out. Don't give up, as she pleaded with the drag community. And apparently this was a thing that went viral last week, her saying the words "don't give up" to the drag community. So we all know what's been going on here with the last several years. A lot of drag queens have been trying to get close to children for the last couple of years, and our society is trying to condition people to just be okay with that, even though there's been a lot of pushback. Thankfully there's been a lot of pushback against this, but Yeah, I mean, here he says that I want them to grow up, and talking about our kids here, real quick. She says I want them to grow up in a world where they know what it means to accept what's not you, what is different, and love that, and not be scared of that, and to embrace that. That's my job as a mom.
Dude, look, wait. You know what's different? Loving Christ right now,
Yeah.
today. Loving Christ and accepting Jesus into your heart. That's
you want to be a rebel. That's probably, especially in your industry,
in Hollywood. Yes.
Yeah, in your industry, that's about as based and as rep as you could possibly get in your industry. But you won't do it. At least,
No, nobody has the balls of Shia LaBeouf or Hulk Hogan to actually fucking convert to fucking Christianity in the face of Hollywood's fucking greed and everything.
Yeah, and then this dude said that's super haram. It's like, I can't disagree with you on that note. How is RuPaul still the highest rated show when it has 800,000 views? That's because cable is dead. Cable is dead. No one's really watching TV anymore, and they try to say that, oh, it's because of the technology of the internet. No, your shows suck. And nobody wants to pay $200 a month to watch shitty television. So they just be like, you know what? I just give up on TV altogether. But they don't want to admit that. So they have to be like, oh, no, it's not what we're producing. It's because of Bill Gates or Elon Musk or something. That's why people are not watching. So this is what's happening here. Charlize Theron has essentially declared herself the warrior of the trans drag community, and she's using her transgender underage adopted trafficked child from Africa to be the poster woman for all of these things. Like I said, you wonder why she can't get a date at the age of damn near 50. So I'll shoot this one over to you, Orange Hat. You look like you're ready to go hard in the paint. What do you think about Charlize Theron and literally everything going on in her life right now?
Give her one of these.
I will do my best to not get this stream pulled right now. I think that she is purely evil. I think that the fact that she also threatened to harm and possibly even kill anybody who does not support the transgender movement also should be acknowledged here. She actually did make that threat last year. I also think that her children should be taken away from her, and that they need to be psychologically reconditioned back to to believe that they are exactly what they were born as. I'm sorry, I do not believe that transgenderism and children mix in any shape, way, or form. And if anyone who believes that transitioning a child, you should be locked up for the rest of your life. You should not be allowed to breed. In fact, you should have the ability to breed taken or surgically removed from you, because you are an impediment to actual progressive society. Not this progressive stuff that they claim is progressive. That's regressive. Charlize Theron is one of the many evils that the Bible warns you about.
Yep. I agree on all. Just a little window here of Charlize Theron's upbringing growing up in South Africa. So she also grew up in an abusive household. I know that's not shocking to anyone reading this chain of events here. She grew up in a household where her father was an abusive drunk and was such abusive to her mother that her mother one day got a gun and shot him dead. And that was what happened before they moved. So this was her first interaction with any kind of positive male influence in her life. So which sent her down this road. And then as she was saying here earlier, these two children, keep in mind, she's talking about her being a mother. None of these kids are biologically hers. Like, she doesn't have any biological children of her own. And I don't believe she's currently in a relationship or in any kind of marriage. I don't think she's ever actually been married before, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I know she's been with numerous actors over the last several years, but she's never actually been married at any certain time.
These are state kidnapped children.
Yeah, exactly. This was during like the craze where like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were like adopting African babies. Then everyone else in Hollywood wanted to do so too. So now we're starting to see the end result of that whole scheme. But Rob, I'll start. I'll shoot this one over with you. What's kind of your thoughts on just this woman, possibly being a witch? Maybe she is a witch. It wouldn't surprise me either. So.
Yeah, I really don't know much about her personal life or dating history other than like I know she was with the lead singer of Third Eye Blind, like back in the 90s and early 2000s for a number of years. So that's, I mean, and has kind of been on and off with different actors or whatever over the years. look, I was sort of made aware of this. I was sort of dumbfounded because there's like the Dwayne Wade thing is weird on its own because it's his kid. You know what I mean? This is almost like weirdly detached, where it's like you're adopting a child, and then it's like you're okay. I don't want to sound out of place here, but it's almost like you're acting as if you're God and saying, I'm going to make you in the image that I want you to be instead of what you are, what you inherently are naturally. And that's very weird and perverted and inverted. And I don't like it. It's weird. I mean, again, I'm not religious, so I try not to use those terms, but it's not, it doesn't sit well with me.
It's hard to find any other word that justifies it.
Well, why would you? It's like, why would you do it? It's like, because we see these posts on the internet all the time. Like, we all know who made the decision for the child to be it's the fucking adult that's in that situation. So, there's some really creepy legislation in Washington too. Like, you try to quote unquote deny your child's gender, they like call like child services. Like, they try to anyway. So all of that stuff just really creeps me out. And again, it's just like, okay, it's one thing to be progressive and accepting and tolerant. It's another to constantly promote something that's unnatural, regardless of who you're talking about. It's not ever something that's naturally found in nature or society, unless there's something wrong. Like and this is not all gay people, but I have the experience where a number of people told me, they were either abused or something happened to them, and it feels like even more so with the trans community. It's like, you guys are really involved with trauma a lot. That's like a word that keeps coming up and keeps coming to the surface. And it's like, it's very creepy, and it's very weird how much that comes up in the equation for those people.
I mean, it's the perfect breeding ground. All of these people who are in this community, one way or another, come from a broken home lifestyle. They even had severe trauma in their childhood, either physically or sexually, whatever the case happened there, and they all find themselves together in this completely broken, evil community where they can all just. As I said, it's hard to find the words that I want to say because it's not a Rumble exclusive show, but let's just put it this way. It's not a coincidence that all these people happen to find each other in their own little group. I said, I don't think this is a coincidence that this stuff is happening here. Rick, I'll shoot this one over to you. What's your thoughts on this story?
I hope I come in all right. I'm not hearing you all very well. Neither of these two children are biologically hurt, and they're both from Africa. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I think it would be a very wild coincidence that I believe both children from Africa turned out to be transgender. I think that very curious coincidence that they're both end up transgender. It reminds me of Megan Fox, I think, who all three of her biological boys apparently are actual girls. We've had this question about nature versus nurture. I don't know if it's really nature in this case, where both children, both from another continent, who are not related in any way, I mean, biologically speaking, turn out to be transgender and both identify from male to female, especially at such a young age. I do wonder if this is actually her imposing these ideas on them, and they being children, they're not going to rebel. They're probably going to accept it. So I don't know if this is really the kid's idea. Did they say so? And maybe the kid did I say, I'm not a boy, but it's not surprised because it just seems to be a lot of transgender children coming to the forefront. We have Megan Fox. We have Charlize Theron. You mentioned, was it Dwayne Wade? All of these, it seems very curious. Jamie Lee Curtis. It just seems very curious that there's just this sudden upswell of transgender children now.
It's almost as if it's
not
by
fair to say.
design.
I
right?
can't read people's minds, but I think I want to say it's a way. How can I put it nicely? I don't want to call it a trend. I don't want to call it the latest
ritual,
fashion, but it just seems a very curious coincidence.
Right.
It's just a very curious coincidence that we just have this large number, and that both of her children, I believe both Charlize Theron's children, are trans, or she says that they are.
Well, one of them,
them.
she's raising as trans. I don't know if the other one is biologically a boy that she's also turned trans, or she's actually a girl. Like, I can't find any information on that one. I want to say that one actually is a girl, but I'm not.
So, yeah, we're not sure on that.
Yeah. But like I said, it's a one big coincidence. Insider, we all mentioned talking about coincidences here, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to notice them.
Yep. You're not supposed to pay attention. Now, I like to play with AI art image things. So I went over to this one that's on a stock photo website. They just installed one. So now you can make your own stock photos. Okay. And it's not really well controlled yet. It's one of those ones like early Mid-Journey and early ChatGPT that would tell you how to build a pipe bomb. So I asked it, Charlize Theron island interior, and this is what it gave me. This has nothing to do with an island, now does it, gentlemen?
No.
But it certainly does look like the interior of a very opulent place that we know exists on an island. And these are black onyx statues, okay? That's not marble, that's onyx. It's a very difficult stone to come by. Not a very popular thing to make a statue out of, even, by the way. And so here we are, and with black marble supports on the walls. It is quite demonic looking, despite the blue tones. Okay? And this is
it's almost as if our AI is trying to tell us something about
exactly. And that's all I get. I do this quite with just about every celebrity, and this is what been the weirdest one that I got back. Most of them are just sitting on an island. That's it. But this was the one that was like, this is a vampire made out of stone.
This is Charlize Medusa here.
Yeah, there's two of them apparently, and they got a nose job.
Kate brings up a good point here. Angelina Jolie's kid apparently had a gender dysphoria,
Thank God,
and she grew out of that. And I'm just thinking about like this kid. This is a kid who, like I said, adopted for some African village, goes to this Hollywood actress's home, 3 years old, allegedly tells her that he wants to be a girl now, so he's going to be raised as a woman his entire life. That's all he's going to know. And then by the time that he's even at an age where he can realize that, oh, this is messed up, like I shudder to think like how he's even going to handle the reality of the world that he's been brought into. Because like I said, there's a reason why a lot of people in this industry self-destruct and some do not ever recover. And this feels like one of those situations where it could definitely end up here. But I'll shoot this one over for you guys. Final thoughts on this Charlize Theron story here.
Just in general.
Again, I just want to say, sorry.
Yeah, everyone talk at once.
You could yell, it'd be great.
Just real quick. I'm not convinced that this kid really thinks this way, because African culture has not been very welcoming to even the gay community, let alone the idea of transgenderism. So it's not something that would come directly from his background. This is more of a Western idea.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, keep talking. I gotta find it. Hold on.
All right. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. Rob?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Hollywood in general has a very weird relationship right now with this kind of stuff. Like Spielberg, was like promoting that his adopted daughter is doing OnlyFans and is like a prostitute, and it's like it's weird shit like that'll come out every so often. That it's like, what do you think normal people think of this shit? I mean, we don't care, but it's like, why would you go out of your way to promote it? That's what's so bizarre. It's like if Jamie Lee Curtis has like a kid that's transitioned and is very vocal about support and like whatever. That's fine, but it's just like when you're talking about kids and adopting them and changing who they are, it's very creepy and it's very weird, even in the best positive light. Like even in the best light, it's creepy as fuck.
Right, because it's what the child wants to do, right? That's what's really strange about it.
And that's
Like,
how they sell it. Just real quick,
Yeah.
that's how they sell it. It's like, oh, the child is consenting to this. I'm not forcing him to do anything. The child wanted this.
No, that's the cult of Hollywood in a way. Like, you know, like it's a secular, weird religious kind of a connotation that goes on in this place. That, you know, you change people's perceptions on things. And like you said, you know, it's not, you know, created in the image of, you know, God or whatever, you know. Maybe not the original with God, but you're trying to create the child in the image of yourself. Because you come from a broken time and you come from all of this and you come from all of that. And you're trying to put this broken time that you had onto a child that doesn't have any of that you actively adopted to create that. It's like, oof.
So this is a Ugandan preacher who came to America and saw gay porn at a hotel room. And
Why are you gay?
horrified. No.
Oh, that guy? Is it that guy?
It's called
Okay.
anal leaking. A man's anus easy leaks. Like I spit. Like I spit. A man's anus easy leaks. Like I spit. Like I spit. A man's anus easy leaks. Like I spit. Like I spit. A man's anus easy leaks.
Wait.
Like I spit. Like I spit.
He's showing it. So that's what the Africans think of gays. Okay, they think that they eat feces, and then in most cases they're right. You ever hear about eating ass? Got bad news for you, fellas.
I was just about to mention that, like, that meme's been around like forever,
Shucks.
right? And when it first came out, people were like, "Oh, it's crazy how people actually believe that that's what gay people do." And then all of a sudden, monkeypox outbreak, ladies and gentlemen. How did that spread? Oh, don't ask questions about that. All
Eat the
I'm gonna
booty
say
like
is,
groceries.
yeah, right. Yeah, we're supposed to assume that all these
Bonus
people are.
hole.
We're supposed to assume that all these people clean themselves properly as well. So that's another layer to the story.
How do you clean an anus enough to be able to lick it? You can't. It's an anus. No, it's an anus that's literally full of bacteria for a purpose. Like that keeps you healthy if it's bacteria ridden. The bacteria that's not supposed to be in your mouth. That's why it's almost the furthest part away from you. So you can't put your mouth on that.
Enough vitamin tablets, you'll be able to do anything. Enough Flintstones vitamins, you'll be able to survive anything.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say here is that there's a
strong
reason.
and growing.
All I'm going to say here is that there's a reason why God knew Sodom and Gomorrah, and I don't think that
that's
honestly,
real. By the way, they recently scientifically proved that.
Yeah, because they said that the explosion was so massive, there was literally no weaponry that could have been created at that time period that produced such an explosion.
Well, no. The archaeologist found the pottery and he took it to the carbon dating, and they said, "Hey, man, you got to take a look at this. There's like a nuclear residue on this." So what happens to pottery when it gets exposed to nuclear radiation is it gets a special gloss on it that's full of radiation. So they started digging down and they thought they found like polluted stuff because they kept finding this glazed pottery. But really what happened was they dug down, they found the cities. This is all over Google. You can Google it right now. They found both of them. And they found that the skeletons like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were just singed right off. Like any piece of like stone was preserving the skeleton there, but above it, it was just singed right off. There were like the shapes of people burned into the stone there. And what they found was the salt was there too. So whatever created this explosion, the shock wave forced the air out like a vacuum bomb. Then it came back in again. But what happened was it pulled some of the salt water and salt like atmosphere from the Black Sea up into that area. And it effectively, in the heat, caked the stone and skeletons in salt. They became pillars of salt. And now what they figure this was, though, is that it's like the Tunguska incident, in that there was a meteor that had like a sub-atmosphere explosion that effectively created the rendering of a 2 megaton nuke going off.
This is the best. This is the best TED talk about licking anus I've ever heard.
Well, yeah, but
or nuking a bunch of degenerates. That
but
too.
again, I mean, like either way you look at it, that's an act of God, right? That's an act of God.
As I was just saying, it's like the amount of force that it would have taken to create an explosion like that literally would have only been caused by like an actual nuclear bomb, which did not exist during that time period.
And that's what you get for eating ass.
No,
this guy getting a burning sensation.
No, what that discovery is more for your conservation promotion for Oppenheimer. All right, it's their campaign. It's their big Oscar.
It was
campaign.
the little Barbieheimer.
Yeah,
Sodom and Gomorrah was a precursor to Oppenheimer. We're going to run with that one.
It was a literal Barbieheimer.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got to move on to another story here. This is something that I found very, very hilarious here. Speaking of in the world of feminism, so the Color Purple remake is a film that's been out since at least Christmas. So I think it's been at least 2, maybe 3 weeks now at this point. It's only made about $55 million on a budget of at least $100 million. So it's been out 3 weeks and hasn't even made back half of its production budget. It's essentially, like I said, more men are evil propaganda, except for it's for black women. So it's a black woman propaganda feminist film. And Taraji P. Henson has been going around making the rounds over the last couple of weeks, essentially crying about her current state of Hollywood. She feels like that she's not as respected in Hollywood, even though she's been around for like 30 plus years at this point. At one point, she was crying about how she didn't get paid as much as Brad Pitt during the movie. And I think the resounding response to that was, yeah, no shit.
Oh, well.
But so she's apparently beefing with like Oprah now for some weird reason, because she was complaining about how the way she was treated on set for this propaganda film and complaining about the way she's been paid. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play this video here. This was her crying about her current state in Hollywood. There's a lot to it here. No, it's the one on the far right here. So
the blue one.
Yeah. So here we go.
On the street, Taraji, you had the audacity to say you're thinking about stopping acting. We said, stop talking. Are you thinking about it?
And before I even like get into this here, whenever Hollywood celebrities are crying about being underpaid, quote unquote, they're still making millions of dollars. Now, they may not be making the most millions of dollars on their set. They're still making millions of dollars at the end of the day. So these aren't people who are like a missed paycheck away from being out on the street at the end of the month. Like, this is not what we're talking about. Go ahead, Cider.
Who is this person? I don't even know.
It's
Tajiri.
It's Tajiri. It's a Japanese wrestler who used to spit mist in front of people's faces.
Like the green
Taraji P.
I thought that was a great kabuki.
And also, yeah. And the great.
So Taraji P. Henson is probably more familiar with black people than white people. She's been in, like I said, she's been in like literally. I mean, I'm just being honest with you here. She's been in a number of shows. She was on the show on Fox with what's his name, Terrence Howard. What was it? Empire. Empire on that show for a number of years. She was big on that show. I think she won like an Emmy or a Golden Globe for that show not too long ago as well. But yeah. She's also been in like numerous films. Baby Boy, if you guys remember Baby Boy from back in the day. I mean, like I said, there's you've seen her in Hidden Figures,
Acrimony.
I've never heard of any of
Talk to me.
I loved Acrimony because it was just so insane. With
She
her
peaked
with her
in
little
persons
crazy
of
dance.
interest.
I will say this: if you have not seen Tyler Perry's Acrimony, watch it. It's not a good film, but it's one that goes so completely off the rails. Like your jaw will literally be like on the ground, like half towards that third act of that film. You're like, "What the hell is happening here?" It goes such in a left direction.
Dance, her cray dance. It was visual splendor for me when she decided to do that dance as she completely goes insane.
Oh my god. That's
go ahead. Her career peaked in Person of Interest.
Possibly. And then that was another show that she was on. I think it was a CBS show. That
was actually one of the best shows. That's one of my favorite shows too.
I'm really not trying to be funny, guys. I literally don't recognize her at all, man. I'm sorry.
I thought this was the woman that
she was the woman getting fucked in Baby Boy.
I've never heard of that movie.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean,
she hates him and then she fucks him.
Yeah, that's for
She reminds she's like Oprah's replacement for Monique after that whole incident.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in the way she was. So, but yeah, let's hear her side of the story here.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost. I'm tired of hearing my sisters say the same thing over and over. You get tired. I hear people go, "You work a lot." Well, have to. The math ain't mathing. And when you start working a lot, you know, you have a team. Big bills come with what we do. We don't do this alone. The fact that we're up, is a whole entire team behind us. They have to get paid. So when you hear someone saying, "Oh, such and such made $10 million," no, that's not that didn't make it to their account. Know that off the top, Uncle Sam is getting 50%. Right. Okay, so do that math. Now we have $5 million. Your team is getting.
She's mathing.
I mean, she's not wrong, but at the same time, you're a lifelong Democrat, so you really don't have any room to complain.
You get
about
what
Uncle
you
Sam
fucking
robbing
vote
you.
for, bitch.
Yeah, you're the one paying for it.
You get what you fucking vote for, and you suck at investing. This is your fault, not anybody else's.
I'll let her finish here because she's about to make a point here that you want to comment on, but I'll let her finish her.
30% or whatever your team is off of what you grossed, not after what Uncle Sam took. Now do the math. So I'm only human, and it seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again, like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired. I'm tired.
Somebody running a weed whack.
I'm tired.
I get that.
You hear that?
It wears
weed
on
whack.
me, you know? Because what does that mean? What is that telling me?
Is there a gardener? What the fuck am I
Sounds like the
hearing?
dinner table.
So those are the two chuckle fucks over here that are just
Oh,
It
I thought it
sounds
was
like a gardener outside with a weed.
Sounds like cows chewing grass.
I mean, it sounds like they're fucking high on edibles and they can't even talk, so they go.
If this was the street, they'd be like snapping their fingers. Yeah.
They sound like they just ate like 5 peanut butter sandwiches with their sound.
Right. Anybody got some milk? I mean, for God's sakes, I'm so distracted by the lawn equipment.
I can't eat this peanut butter no more. I was tired.
You see, this is why you need subtitles. You need subtitles to understand.
And what does it tell me?
Yeah, they're just.
Yeah, the subtitles are black acceptance. That's the subtitles.
African
Black
noises.
side. Black sighing. African sighing.
You know? And if I can't fight for them coming up behind me, then what the fuck am I doing? I'm sorry.
Wait, so she breaks through glass ceilings. Of course, you're going to end up at the bottom again.
What fucking glass ceiling did you break, bitch?
Yeah,
I made a meme. Bayona Rad asked me to.
What glass ceiling did Taraji P. Henson break? The first black woman to shoot a 50 cal. Okay.
There you go, Bayona.
Well, she's not the first black woman to win an Oscar or the first black woman to be nominated for an Oscar.
She just needs the word bowl.
Although I do think she was good in Hidden Figures, and she should have won over Emma Stone.
The mistake that she made here is saying that she is not saying, like, she should have said this. She should have said, "I should have been Madam Web," before she broke into tears. That's what she should.
Look, I've known about Taraji P. Henson for about 20 years. I think the first role that she was in was Talk to Me with Don Cheadle. Like about some radio guy. Anyway, like she's a good actress. She's talented, but I would not rate her as like a leading lady. She's usually supporting.
She's not a box office draw.
She's been in a bunch of TV, and like for instance, my parents know who she is. Like she's well liked when she's in stuff. However, the idea that you're going to command anything like a top leading actress or leading actor is hilarious. You don't have the box office draw. You don't have the prerequisite success to be able to demand that. And guess what? If you want to save some money, be your own fucking agent. Do your own research. Do your own work. that those people are doing and cut them out of it. There's nothing against that. You can negotiate yourself. However, that takes time and effort and insight into something that you probably don't know anything about. So it's like you can cry and complain, and that's fine. Look, I'm sure the public feels sympathetic for you on some level, but you're a multi-millionaire actress. And yeah, it's expensive to live in Hollywood. Sydney Sweeney was talking about that like a year ago. We talked about, do you feel bad for Sydney Sweeney? She's doing fine. You know what I mean? She's, but Taraji P. Henson's been doing this for a long time, and she knows the business. So for her to cry about it now feels incredibly calculated, especially when even in The Color Purple, she's what, fourth on the cast list?
She's not the lead.
Yeah. So I think a lot of this is kind of nonsense. And I don't feel sorry for her. She's a talented actress. And this is frankly beneath her to do something like this. And last point, actors are professional liars. They literally manipulate the public into believing things that are not true for emotional effect. So it's like and by the way, actors hate this when you bring this up to them. I got blocked by Elizabeth Moss for saying that on Instagram one time.
I'm blocking you because you called her ugly for the 5th time.
True. I'm sure she's full of shit on some level.
So you brought up a great point. This is what I was going to mention too. We did talk about this several months ago with Sydney Sweeney, who was kind of complaining about roughly the same thing. Now she's obviously someone who's like just really starting to catch her, I guess, her fame here in Hollywood. But yeah, when you're in Hollywood and you get a paycheck and it's like, oh, okay, well, where do you want to live? Oh, I want to live in California. Well, guess what? Everything's fucking expensive here. So you can move to a $4 million starter home if you like. So you can go out there and then you have to pay all the things that are associated with that. And then it's like, oh yeah, I have an agent. I have a publicist. I have a stylist. I have, someone who negotiates this and negotiates that. So it's like all of these vultures over here, the second I get into the industry, are just taking away all the money that I get. So by the time I'm done, I make like $3 million a film. All that money is all gone. I only see like 200,000. Well, that sounds like a bad deal. That sounds like maybe you should be the one that makes some changes in the way that you do business. Because look, is it possible that she's out getting robbed by, like I said, taxes and just being generally in the industry? Yeah, it's probably possible, but at the same time, you can't just sit there and cry that you've been doing this for 30 plus years and you've only just now figured out that these essentially the Hollywood system is a scam here. Like, I mean, I'm talking about someone here, before anyone feels too bad for Taraji P. Henson here, she's worth $12 million. She has like a $7 million home in LA, like, as well. So it's not like, like I said, she's not a step away from being homeless by any stretch of the imagination. She's just upset that she's not, the $20 million a year type of woman. She's like, look, not everyone can be Gal Gadot, and you can argue Gal Gadot really doesn't deserve that much money, if we're really being honest with ourselves here. But this is kind of the realm of the business that we're in, right?
What's funny? This is the plot in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Rick Dalton feels like he's washed up and he's never going to have a good role again. And he's always going to be the bad guy getting his ass kicked by Batman and Robin. And what does he do? He torches a bunch of Nazis and becomes a fucking star. He didn't, and he's a drunk. He's a mess. He's a complete, he has his issues. But guess what? He took another swing at it and basically went on to have like a Clint Eastwood type career. So you can do it. Stop whining and complaining.
So go ahead.
Jacob said is also very much correct, because these people are fucking complaining about not making enough money, but you live in fucking $1 million mansions and you get what you fucking vote for. You vote Democrat all the time. And what do Democrats love to do? They love to fucking increase taxes. They love to fucking make you pay more. They want to tax the rich. Guess what? You're in that fucking bracket, you dumb fucks. But continue to fucking vote for them because, mean tweets. You fucking idiots don't realize that, all those tax breaks that the last president was fucking doing actually applied to you. And you fucking didn't like it because of mean tweets, and you fucking you get what you fucking vote for. And honestly, I have no fucking sympathy. The only fucking glass ceiling she broke, like I said, she's the first black woman to shoot a fucking 50 cal. And that's it. literally all she is fucking known for is the first black woman to fucking shoot a 50 cal, and she fucking got fucked by a guy that she hated. So yeah, whatever.
Well,
I have no sympathy for her.
She has a little bit of black history for herself, so that's a positive. I do think it's a little curious that she would imagine that she should earn the same amount that Brad Pitt earned for making a movie. Brad Pitt, he's a well-known name and he can open a film. Taraji P. Henson, as talented as she is, and I like her very much, cannot open. And there are a lot of actors and actresses who can't. I mean, let's extend it to inevitable best supporting actress winner America Ferrera. She can't open a movie, even though she gave the greatest monologue in film history. She can't open a movie with just her name alone. Is she going to demand also to be paid the same as even Margot Robbie? It's an absurdity. So I don't understand.
Here's the second part of this article. Excuse me. Here's the second part of this article here, which is from apparently Oprah got involved with her complaints as well, because it wasn't just the money that she was complaining about here. Apparently, she was also complaining about how they were treated on the set of this propaganda film called The Color Purple, and she broke down in tears talking about the disparity of black women in Hollywood, claiming that she had to fight to get production, to supply drivers, to transport the cast of the film, saying that was a big part too. Like apparently they had to drive like rental cars or something like this. I think we'll get into it here, but Oprah had to basically respond to this by saying that I heard I was trending yesterday. People were saying that I wasn't supporting Taraj, who's also sorry. When we says Taraj will tell you yourself that I've been one of the greatest champions of this film, championing not only behind the scenes but also everything that was needed. He said that whenever I heard there was something that people needed, I'm not in charge of the budget. That's Warner Brothers. That's the way of the studio system works. We were, as producers, everyone gets their salary negotiated by your team. She insisted to Kevin Frazier that I heard that there was a problem with cars and concerns about food on set. That I'd step in and do whatever I could to make it right, doubling down on the claim. I say that she would vouch for her. I want to say, does it have the complaint? Because she did make a separate complaint video about something that was going on the set where there was something going on about like rental cars and the food. I'll make sure that I have that right.
Not
here.
the food. Oh
Yeah,
no!
like on a
Catering's
Spielberg
gone.
set. That's weird.
Yeah, exactly right. So here it is. This is the other part here. This is what Oprah was responding to, and this is from Variety here just a couple of days ago, saying that she fought for drivers to take the cast out after they gave us rental cars, and told Oprah that we got to fix this when there was no food at rehearsals. So like I said, a lot of complaints here from this woman. So like I said, the film had a security in Atlanta. I think this is where they shot most of this. But like I said, they allegedly offered the cast rental cars at first and expected the actors to drive themselves to the set. So apparently they were offended by the fact that they had to drive themselves to the set of their own movie. They gave us rental cars, and I was like, I can't drive myself to get to the set in Atlanta. That's an insurance liability. It's dangerous. Now they're robbing people.
What?
She's complaining about the crime.
You're not doing
in
the
Atlanta.
fucking Baja.
She's complaining about the crime in Atlanta. Once again, Atlanta, a very notoriously uber liberal, uber right wing city, and she doesn't want to drive here because it's too dangerous.
Wait, what rapper wanted to change it to New Wakanda? It was T-Pain.
Oh, T.I.
T.I.
He
wanted
went on there and
New
said, "This is
Wakanda."
Wakanda."
Yeah,
Wakanda.
Mm-hmm. So then I was like, can I get a driver or security to take me? I'm not asking for the moon. You're just asking someone to drive you to your own movie set.
She
and then
could
there
take
was
the
like,
bus.
if we do it for you, we have to do it for everyone. It's like, listen. She says, well, if we do it for you, we have to do it for everyone. It's like, well, do it for everybody. It's that stuff. That stuff that I shouldn't have to fight for. I was on the set of Empire.
Right for this.
It's like those chips, you can't, if I have to give one to you, I have to give one to everyone.
Did you bring enough for the class?
Yeah,
exactly right.
Chewing gum online.
It actually says, I was on the site of Empire fighting for trailers that weren't infested with bugs. So it seems like she's had a problem with every single production she's been a part of. When the common denominator is you.
She's consider
Right.
the fact that nobody except for like film buffs have ever heard of this woman. I've never heard of this woman. Apparently, she's been an extra for the past 30 years, and these are her first big breaks.
No. She's
my God.
Oh my God! Okay, it gets worse. It gets worse.
It gets worse, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's continuing here. It wears on your soul because you fight so hard to establish a name for yourself and to be respected in a town to no avail. She says, when black films, they just don't take us overseas, and I don't understand that. Black translates all over the world, so why wouldn't the movies? I have a following in China of all places.
She doesn't know.
I have a following in China of all places. Y'all not going to capitalize on that? Don't everyone want to make money here? I'm not the person that pulls the race card every time, but okay. But what else is it? Then tell me. I'd rather not be raced. Please give me something else.
You got that, Oprah?
No, I'm sorry. I would like to see the Chinese Taraji P. Henson fan club. I want to see their convention in Beijing, as you know, as they meet in front of that giant portrait of Chairman Mao. I want to see this. What do you mean? What does she mean that she's big in China?
Big in China.
So
you know how huge I am in China.
You know that's
huge in China.
That's a
25
song.
pounds.
That's a song. You know, I'm really big in Japan. I'm really big in China.
It was a trope. It was a trope in the 70s that actors. It was some. I remember this being a thing in those B movies all the time. That actors would get lured to other countries by dictators who had like a massive filmography of these obscure actors, and they would end up in sort of foreign shenanigans because they wanted to have like the star treatment they'd never got and stuff like that. And so that. Odds are Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un are huge fans of Taraji, and that's it.
Absolutely.
You know, that they're the ones that are
They love the
fans of.
acrimony dance. They love that scene
Right.
acrimony when she's going crazy.
Oh my God, it gets worse. So
Oh no.
I love this story. It's like peeling out an onion. There's just more to it. So obviously the reason why she contacted Oprah in the first place was because they didn't have their own dress rooms and food during rehearsals for the film. So I'm not talking about like actually on set shooting. This was during the rehearsal process.
No.
So she says, I remember when we first came in, we were doing rehearsals. They put us all in the same space. We didn't even have our own dressing rooms at the time. We didn't have our own food. Oprah corrected this for us. It was our voice. This was my first studio. I find that hard to believe that this was your first studio
That's what
film,
I mean.
lady.
She was an extra for 30 years. This is her first time actually being treated like a star.
Sometimes you just you do come in and say, okay, I'll take whatever they give me. I'm just happy to be here. But Taraji spoke up for us and said, you showed me how to do that. So that's why they called Oprah, because there's no food and we don't have dressing rooms during our rehearsals. So somebody has to come in here and correct all of this.
They couldn't do a DoorDash for this.
So
like, rehearsals are like not okay. Like you just show up with whatever and you start reading. Like it's not an event that's put together by the studio. Usually it's independent of that. Usually you show up, you read your lines, and you go home. And you might have a lead up of set of rehearsal before you show up to set. But it's like that's not weird to not have it be catered or addressed.
In her contract though, I'm sure it says somewhere that someone has to be there to press the button on the speakerphone for her to answer it.
It's a liability issue.
But she comes off as somebody that is disconnected from how most people live. Most people reading that article, they're like, bitch, get in line. Like that's what you're complaining about. It's like you're getting treated better than I ever did, or so it just sounds so completely disconnected.
I can understand that there be I can understand that there could be like a catering service for them. The whole issue with the dressing rooms, look, I don't think you're required. I mean, if you have one large dressing room for all the actors, I don't understand why Taraji P. Henson.
The producers were probably on the phone like, it's rehearsals. Why do we have to give them their own dressing room? Like, it's not even. We're not even actually
getting in
shooting the film
costume
yet.
during rehearsal.
Exactly. You don't.
This
You
is
show
Warner
up.
Brothers. They don't have money.
You show up in your regular clothing. Now
I don't have a trailer for this reading.
I am kind of reminded.
Where's craft services?
Well, look, just go and order something. You could go to the Whataburger in Atlanta now and order something from there. But I'm reminded of when Cleopatra was shot in Rome, and the stars, Rex Harrison, Elizabeth Taylor, all these other people, were fighting about cars. Each of them wanted their own cars, and when they cut them off for the cars, or tried to, the stars actually did not show up until the cars were restored to them. But of course, you're talking about Rex Harrison, Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton. These are big names. Taraji P. Henson, Danielle Brooks, even Her, they're not big names in film. Not even Fantasia Barrino. This is strange. Go ahead.
There's one more thing that I want to play here before we jump over to our closer, because that's a whole other rabbit hole in itself. This is great, by the way. I didn't think we were going to get this much meat off of this one topic, but this is her.
If we're going next, if we're going to talk about who's next, we're going to be talking even more about Oprah.
Oh yeah, right. So this is Taraji P. Henson 8 years ago when she won a Golden Globe for Empire, playing Cookie Williams. And if she went on like a 2-minute diatribe here, but if this doesn't give you a window of just how entitled and out of touch this woman is, I mean, I don't think anything else will sell you at this point.
My strength. Hollywood Foreign Press. Thank you. I mean, who knew that playing an ex-convict would take me all around the globe? It just goes to show. I thought it would be Queenie, Will. I thought it would be my character from, Karate Kid. But it's Cookie, who spent 17 years in jail for selling crack. Okay. So the world loves real. Thank you. So many people to thank.
What a bitch.
My manager, Vincent Sorrentino.
Oh, it gets worse.
Been with me for this my entire career. My publicist, Pam Sharp. So many people are, please rap. Wait a minute. I waited 20 years for this.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you gonna
Wrap it up.
I think, my
Happening.
fans are praying for this. They're all on Twitter like, yeah, hope you get it. You gotta give me time. My family, Fox, Dana Walden, and Gary, you're here. Thank
I
you
wish
for
women
believing in
said
the
this
show.
much about having children.
Danny
That
Strong,
they were this proud about having a baby.
Thank you for believing in me. Senna Hamry is here. I've worked with her before on another movie, but she's a producer on the show.
Don't talk about that.
Francie is here. Eileen is here. I love you. My cast, my beautiful boys that play my son. Trey is here. Yaz is here. Jussie Smollett. I'm nothing without the cast.
Whoa.
I'm taking this home for the entire empire. Terrence Howard, I'm nothing
Get off the stage, Sharita.
Hurry up.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Cuba Gooding Jr. has had enough.
I'm a little sympathetic in that,
And I think that was the moment they decided we're never giving that woman another award as long as she lives.
Maybe that's why she wasn't nominated for Hidden Figures.
That's how you don't do it. Like Pat McAfee's how you do it. That's how you do not do it.
Look, I'm a little sympathetic in that, she won. It's nice to win an award, and she wants to soak it up. Fine, but you start mentioning names that people, maybe even in that audience, are not going to know. They're not going to know who some of these people are.
Who puts a 300-gallon aquarium in their trailer?
Barely Jensen Ackles.
You remember this episode?
Here we go.
No, you mean that actor?
This is one of my favorite episodes of Supernatural. It's where they somehow come out into the real world, right?
I can tell you right now that there's no way we're going to be able to play that one off of TNT's website.
Okay, well, it was just a quick clip. That's all I wanted to show you was all I want to do is show you the helicopter thing. But what I want to get at, though, is just real quick, is that trailer is decked out with like $500,000 worth of stuff in it, right? It's got a fish tank, a nitrogen-powered helicopter. He's got like one of those TVs that spins around, one of those propane fireplaces, marble floors. It's a really done-up trailer. If they didn't buy it for the show, then they definitely rented it from one of those very high-end spots for the episode. But this is what she's talking about, the way the treatment she wants. She wants to have a nitro-powered helicopter in her trailer. She wants a fish tank, marble floors, a spinny fireplace, and television. Because she's doing rehearsal, and it's so stressful.
But the thing is, that whole thing was supposed to be a joke. I mean, the whole thing was supposed to be funny. She's being,
and that's her reality.
She is being completely serious in that she thinks that she deserves this because she's a star. And I've got sad news for Taraji P. Henson, an actress who I do like. You're not getting nominated for The Color Purple. All right, it would be an absolute shocker if you were. Oh, I'm sorry. I like
clean
you.
up at the Oscars.
You're great. You're a good actress. I like you, but you're not. And real quick, the only thing I know about Supernatural is I was introduced to the idea of Wincest, and that's really creepy.
The worst part of it, then. Neat.
Yeah. The one should.
For,
Anyway,
for a quick overview, it's two brothers who are badasses that kill the Grimm brothers fairy tale monster.
I know what the show is, but all I know is about
loves Wincest.
Wincest, that whole concept of fan fiction that involves their romantic and sexual relationship with each other as characters. That's very creepy.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Not gonna say a thing.
So our final topic, speaking of man-on-man action.
Well, someone here brought up that whole thing about the licking.
As Rick rambles on here, we gotta get rid of Orange Hat here for a second before his power goes out. So I'll just go ahead and give you the floor and let you promote what you got coming up.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, my power's heading out. So tomorrow I got my National Treasure discussion with Jade Shadow on her channel. Thursday is Con Air, same time, 8 p.m. on my channel. Sunday is weekly recap. Tuesday is Tuesday theme streams of movie versus movie. The next one is White House Down versus Olympus Has Fallen. And next Tuesday, same time here for these guys. So, yep. Other than that, yeah, I'll see you guys all. I'm sorry I can't stay, but the power's looking like it might actually go out. So,
well, good luck.
Take care, Orange.
Keep
Stay
that fire
warm.
warm.
Keep some candles ready.
You pay your electric bill. I don't think that works.
Wow. Fucking wow, dude. It's a blizzard out, you jackass. Take it easy, folks.
All right. All right, then I guess we wrapped this up with the whole conversation about Katt Williams, because Katt Williams went on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay show and basically threw a whole bunch of people under the bus. Like there's a lot to unpack here. I think we should kind of start with how this whole thing started. I think he was talking about his relationship with Cedric the Entertainer and Steve Harvey, and the relationship with comedians in general, and it just kind of devolved into a whole thing about Kevin Hart and Ludacris and the Illuminati and selling your soul to Satan and all this other stuff. So there's a lot to unpack here. I guess we can start off
weed
here.
were they smoking?
And where can Cider get some?
Katt Williams is straight. No.
So here's how it started, and this is kind of how the wheels fall off. This is what the beginning of the conversation. He's talking about Cedric the Entertainer stealing his jokes and his beef with Cedric and Steve Harvey at the time. So
before we start, can I just ask a question?
Go ahead.
When did it become popular to wear shirts that are 2 sizes too small for you? Like I don't remember the memo.
See, when you're a 55-year-old former NFL player who still wants to show off his body, you wear shirts that are intentionally 2 sizes too small.
Like that's all the way up to his forearm, dude. Yeah. He got that from Baby Gap.
Yeah, I was about to say he's a 6'5", fucking 210 pound man. You know, I mean,
yeah, he's wearing medium.
It's like younger guys now who wear shorts that are way too short, and I'm like, I never got comfortable wearing shorts, which is why I'm a pants guy. But what's wrong with you?
Like
why do you have so much confidence?
Short shorts? Yeah. It's beyond the tip of your fingers, mister. That's too short.
Get the ruler to measure them.
Cover those thighs, sir.
All right, here we go.
Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Katt Williams' joke? Yeah. He said it don't line up. How it don't line up that I did it on TV in 2018? You came to see me at the Comedy Store do it in 2019 and then did it on the Kings of Comedy. Like, what doesn't line up? This is a televised joke that Mark Curry helped me punch up and get to the level that it was. The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit. Then you ask it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good over KB and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You would have to have range. I played a lot of characters, 60 movie roles. I'm not playing Katt Williams in there.
Well, I don't know, Katt. We might not let you drink anymore the way you. I mean, we ain't even got.
I'm not fueled by alcohol. I've had a sip, less than you. Well, the truth don't need motivation. I'm just saying I can't let these dudes lie. Cedric's sitting here telling you why he ain't a movie star. He over here look like a walrus. You didn't say nothing. He can't even get his arms off his stomach sitting over here. Why I'm not a movie star. What?
It's a situation.
He never wrote anything. Remember, when Cedric the Entertainer starts, he's supposed to be singing, dancing, and telling jokes. That's why he's called the Entertainer.
Right.
We found out he can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi. Can I say that again for the audience? They're so bad that they're not available on Netflix or Tubi.
You don't think Sam's a good comedian?
The world doesn't think that, sir. I have 12 comedy specials. He has 4 specials that are not available on Netflix or Tubi.
I just want to pause here just real quick because
that's amazing.
Literally, when he said this, Netflix or Tubi was the #1 trend on Twitter. Like
yeah,
2
but
days
like,
after he said that.
did you catch like 3 hours after that went down that evil Katt Williams started trending behind that because another rapper threw another gay guy under the fucking bus?
Yes. Now, I'm pretty sure that those Cedric the Entertainer comedy specials, they're waiting for the Criterion, okay? Katt Williams, they're waiting for Criterion to finalize them.
What's to crystallize these comments, though, real quick, do you know how much bad stand-up exists on Netflix? Either Netflix specials or on Tubi. It's a lot. It's a lot. So that is an incredible remark by Katt Williams there.
Yeah.
Well, the only comedy special that I've seen on Tubi was when I saw Truman Capote in an interview. So that's the extent of the comedy specials.
With In Cold Blood. The greatest comedy
Moving on.
It seems to me, Katt, that you had a lot to get off your chest.
No.
You wanted to set the record straight.
Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. I don't say any of these things if my name is not breached by these people on your platform. If you give a liar a platform to lie, then I'm not being messy by saying, hold on, that never happened, it's untrue, and there are hundreds of witnesses for each thing I'm saying.
So that was him going. He followed it up here, going after Kevin Hart, calling Kevin Hart and Hollywood plant, and this was basically his argument about Kevin Hart.
Let me just say that for what it is, he was absolutely right about the. I went to go actually research some of this. He's absolutely right about the Cedric and the Entertainer's joke steal, and he's absolutely right in the sense that like Cedric I keep saying Cedric Alexander. Cedric the Entertainer, way different. Cedric the Entertainer actively said that Bernie Mac wanted to go do movie roles in order to, get bigger or whatever, and that's why he left the Kings of Comedy. Well, no, people wanted Bernie Mac because Bernie Mac was a legitimate star, and you could tell watching the Kings of Comedy special that Bernie Mac was supposed to be the headliner out of all of these guys, and it turned out the headliner was Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey's best friend was the second, and that was Cedric the Entertainer. So, Bernie Mac doing the opener it was. I mean, it's a hell of an opener. So I mean, Katt Williams isn't lying in any of There's not much lying in Katt Williams.
Tough act to follow. Bernie Mac would be a tough act to follow, but somehow they did, I guess. I never saw the Kings of Comedy. I will disagree with Katt on one point where he's saying that, there weren't black films for black men who are country bumpkins and look like this. They couldn't put any of them in the color purple.
Let me rewind back to this one because he did continue talking about basically the point that
Told you
Brock
that-
just made there. So let me just put this in. He's talking about Bernie Mac here and the whole fallout with the Kings of Comedy.
Told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore. Imagine him coming to tell you another story where he got so big and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say.
Have you ever been on tour with any of these guys?
I think that was a cut off there for part 2. So he's basically saying that, people like Steve Harvey and everybody else was essentially jealous of Bernie Mac because, look, and I don't think this is a controversial opinion when you look at, if you're looking at the original Kings of Comedy, which was Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley, Bernie Mac was leaps and bounds the funniest one out of that 4, like by far, like it wasn't even close. And it was noticed that, in that film, Steve Harvey was supposed to be the host of the show. It was supposed to be his show, but everyone was there for Bernie Mac. You can't tell me that there wasn't any jealousy there because once that show hit, Bernie Mac got his own TV show, and then people wanted to start having Bernie Mac in movies, and that was around the early to mid 2000s. So yeah, people loved Bernie Mac, especially his older stuff as well. Still holds up far better than a lot of
Bernie Mac's fantastic comedian.
I just want to say that first Charlie's Angels movie there that Bernie Mac was in with Bosley, that would have been really different if Steve Harvey played Bosley.
I thought it was in the second one. Wasn't Bill Murray in the first one?
Yeah, I think you're right. I never saw them, but I think you're right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously, Katt Williams has had a long-standing feud here with Kevin Hart. He's continuously called Kevin Hart an industry plant. He continued going in on Kevin Hart here. So
already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words.
I mean, people are pointing this out too. He's not typically wrong. I mean, Kevin Hart was already doing like big name movies like in like 2003, like 2004, and nobody can remember any like great stand up that he did up to that point to get essentially like those roles. It's almost like they were awarded to him like right away. So when you look back at the timeline, Katt Williams really isn't saying anything that's completely out of pocket or wrong there when he's talking about that. Hey, look, these guys ripped off other comedians and then pretending like that they were the ones that made path of like the Comedy Store. I think they were saying that Cedric the Entertainer and Steve Harvey claim that they did shows at the Comedy Store. It's like they never did stores at the Comedy Store. You guys were at the Laugh Factory, and these other 2 comedians who you guys were claiming brought you guys up were never there to begin with. So it's like, who's the one really here telling lies here? So I don't pause here just for this point because we do have the second half of the stuff to cover here. But essentially, what do you think of Katt Williams' comments regarding his feud with Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac? Eddie, you've kind of alluded to it a little bit here, so I guess we could start off with you. What do you think about what Katt had to say here?
I think Katt completely told the truth in the entire. I listened to the entire 3-hour thing. I actually sat through it. Really difficult to listen to, but it's fun. And he doesn't do a lot of he does a lot of alluding to things and a lot of sideways glances and all that kind of stuff. But when he wants to name names, he starts naming names. He mentions Oprah getting in the way of things. I don't know if you're going to play it. You can find a clip of it. the entire segment where he describes what goes on with black men, in particular black men coming into Hollywood, and especially comedians, and the first thing they want to do is, one of the first things they want to do is put them in a dress to make them effeminate and make them, just like it's just like this comedy thing, and everyone in Hollywood thinks it's great. I know what that's like. That's like it's a weird thing to have someone come up to you and say, "Hey, you know what? You'd be funnier in a dress." Like,
yeah, right.
It's like here you are, you're trying to be, a guy, or at least, try to be a funny guy. And that's like it. I've had that kind of experience, not necessarily Hollywood type, but I've had that experience where someone says, "Listen, we'd want you to do something like this in order for you to keep going on in this career. And if you don't do it, then, your career might get stalled, or you even might completely stop." And
did Andrew Tate approach you to be a cam girl, Eddie? Is that what happened?
I'm not allowed
Did
to
he
say.
meet you like this? Did he do this while he learned to me?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, everything he said there is completely correct. And look, that Netflix and Tubi line killed a lot of people, because it's absolutely true that there's a lot of garbage stand-up on that, specifically to, like, I put Tubi over for having a lot of good movies, but stand-up wise, it's like they literally put stuff on there because nobody else will take it. And if you can't even find your stuff on Tubi, that's not a good sign as your tell as a comedian here. But
I'm just gonna say this. I love that Katt Williams is going off that, like, he's not 5'5". I really appreciate that he is totally unaware that he is a teeny tiny little chihuahua right now, especially like across the way from this 6'5" football fella who has his knees drawn up, and Katt Williams is like, "My feet barely hit the floor."
I will say this: at 5'5", he's still unironically taller than Kevin Hart. So there you go.
So, where do they find all these tiny black guys? Like, I thought Dennis Rodman was the only one.
That's what I mean.
You got Kevin Hart, you got Katt Williams, you got Chris Rock. Where do they come from? Is there a tiny black guy?
Look,
factory?
if you
a gumball machine.
If you want to find a black guy that you can hold down to the casting couch, you got to get one that's at least 5'5" or shorter. I mean,
is that it?
Bigger than that.
Is that it? They find the tiny ones so they dance for him?
Yeah, not everyone's Dwight Howard. I mean,
By the way, all the guys that Cider mentioned, they eventually got into a dress, except for Katt Williams and Chris Rock.
Well,
Chris Rock,
yeah.
Chris Rock has absolutely been in a dress before. Not maybe like in like the television thing, but he's been in there in movies. So
the Wesley Snipes
to the
one is my nightmare. I have nightmares about Wesley Snipes and drag. That was like the dog monster and thing for me. I just couldn't. I couldn't deal with Wesley in drag. I couldn't do it.
I am.
That we're talking about.
I am permanently amazed that Milton Berle just had such an effect on so many black comedians, where they all needed to, don drag to do this. Honestly, I have no idea who Katt Williams is.
Look, this is something that people have been talking about like for years. Like, this isn't a new thing. People have always asked the question. It's like, how come every person who on the come up in Hollywood at some point in their career, they got to put on a dress, whether it's for an SNL skit, a movie, a television show. It's like, put on the dress. And I just think to myself, because if you want to be in the club, they want to see, just how far they can push you. So it's like, hey, you want to be in this club? Why don't you wear this pink dress and this blonde wig and on his television show? And if you push back, it's like, I'm not doing that. It's like, okay, he's not ready to be in our club.
Were any of these comedians adopted by Charlize Theron?
I mean, maybe afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Hart is small enough.
Martin Lawrence and Charlize Theron did a movie together. Remember, right?
Certainly did. Rob, what's your thoughts on? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I actually saw Kevin Hart's stand-up special, Comedy Central Presents, like 1998. When I was like 9. So it's very funny to kind of see him get famous, because like I mean, I remember his early days of being a performer. He was okay, like he was funny. Like I remember the one joke I remember was about how his tires and wheels got stolen with him in the car at a stoplight. That's how good the Detroit Criminals are. And which is funny because Detroit's only become a bigger shithole since the late 90s. Look, I think that what Katt Williams said is pretty accurate. Kevin Hart is one of those people that I'm just like, why does he keep getting work? All of his movies are terrible. I don't think there's been one passable performance. He does the whole like, kind of highly energetic freak out, black guy routine, which is, whatever. I mean, I'm sure it has appeal on a certain level. I'm sure he is a box office draw, but I have never found him funny. The best thing he's probably known for is his little bitchy fights with The Rock, where they go back and forth, which is kind of an obvious game.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of what Katt Williams said here sounds pretty spot on, sounds pretty accurate. So
is it the Jumanji movies where they do that too?
I don't know. I literally haven't seen half of Kevin Hart's movies, and here I'm complaining about him. So
I mean, look, my earliest memories of Kevin Hart was in Scary Movie 3 and Soul Plane. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way a guy who has that on his resume, like that, and 40-Year-Old Virgin. There's no way that a guy that has those films on his resume is gonna grow up to be one of the biggest comedians in the world, unless there was something else going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about.
That was a funny ass role though. That in 40-Year-Old Virgin, where he's like, because I don't understand the words you're using, I'm gonna take them as disrespect.
What do you mean grow up? He hasn't grown up, as far as I can tell.
So Kevin Hart does a really good job at hosting. He could be like a Ryan Seacrest type. He could be like one of those Nick Cannon types. Like they specifically bring him out to host all of the events. He would be really good for a Casey Kasem kind of top thing. That high energy thing he can shift in and out of real quick makes for that kind of television. But in movies and stuff, it gets so tired. It really
I mean, Night School was okay. It was entertaining. But wasn't he pulled from the Oscars because of some joke?
Yes.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was
He used to make a lot of trans jokes.
Yeah, that was 4 or 5
Well, that's
years
the thing
ago.
is that Kevin Hart is actually from the New York crowd from the late 90s, 2000s, the Patrice O'Neill, Bill Burr, the Opie and Anthony crowd. He's from that group of comics. So he knows how to be a tough guy. It's not that Kevin Hart isn't a tough guy. It's just Kevin Hart it seemed that his career just seemed to jump over all of these other guys, and he hit Hollywood at the right time, at the right place, and just it clicked on him. He was able to bring a whole bunch of other people along with him, like Bill Burr. So
I only know Kevin Hart from those credit card commercials where he asked me what's in my wallet. That's the extent of my knowledge of Kevin Hart, and a few movies, but like the Jumanji movies, I think. But I don't think anything has stood out as in, this is a brilliant performance that will break glass ceilings the way Taraji P. Henson has broken glass ceilings.
Yeah. So we got more here because, like I said, he didn't just go in on Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer and Kevin Hart. He started talking about alleged. He, like I said, if you watch Kevin Hart, Katt Williams long enough, he's talked about this multiple times, mentioning the Illuminati by name. So he talked about a meeting that happened behind closed doors involving himself and Ludacris. So I'll go ahead and let you guys listen to this whole thing. So,
are you related to Luda?
No, so there was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing, and it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person, they said, was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams. Now, one person ended up with a light-skinned, ugly-faced wife that's never done it. Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people? Yes. It's part of what they give you. Okay? I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir.
The fuck did he just say?
Fast and Furious is on what number right
10.
now?
10. 200 million. I might be getting me one of the more women look the same.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't gonna wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay.
Right.
So
to that point, like they say up here in one of the comments, Rob Black made you do it. Yeah, Rob Black made me fucking do a whole lot, trying to make me do a whole lot of shit. Hollywood makes you try to do a whole lot of shit, even in the grungiest fucking parts where nobody fucking cares about you. They try to see how far they can get you to fucking sell your soul for $100 and a cheeseburger. So yeah, Rob Black and a whole bunch of other fucking assholes in Hollywood have tried to do shit like this, and not just me, but a whole bunch of other people. So yeah.
Does his necklace say woke and broke as like an intersection on the O? Is that what his necklace says? I read woke. Is that broke from the top?
It's hard because I'm not even sure if that's like an English language that's there or not.
You see the W, the O, the
I know what you're
K,
talking
right?
about, but I can't tell from the top portion there. So I don't know. Maybe
It's like AI art.
He's for what it is. Yeah, for what it is, he's a Christian, and he uses the woke agenda. This is what I gathered. He uses a woke agenda for his Christianity.
Well, here's Katt Williams talking about that right here.
I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
So, like I said, this is only a small sample size. Like we'd be here for another hour if we went through everything they talked about here.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of responses to this interview. Like I said, you can go watch the 3-hour interview on Shannon Sharp's channel. But Ludacris obviously responded to this, or at least did a freestyle response about what Katt Williams said about him here. So this is what Ludacris' response to Katt Williams was.
Whatever's heavy on my heart is always on my mind. Like Snoop's cannabis shredder, I'm always on my grind. They throwing shade cause niggas could never take my shine. I bring my watch collection on my jet, let me take my time. Like fine wine, I'm aging like Benjamin. Top 5, I'm worth mentioning. Bring me rappers, I'm lynching them. See the pendulum swing, Jesus with diamond thorns. Ludacris, swaddled in Gucci linens when I was born.
By the way, I just want to throw this out here. That's a second commandment violation. Thou shalt have no graven images or anything that's in heaven, but I'm just going to keep going here.
Never been illuminati, only illuminati, and I only left with bitches when coming from any party. Now I'm married with kids, the evolution of life. Never been a clout chaser, never say shit for likes. R.I.P. John Singleton, you never have to flex when you earn every one of your Fast and Furious checks. Afro with the sideburns. Yeah, that's my signature. Addictions on the rise. Comedians check your temperature.
And just like Kevin Hart, and just like when Kevin Hart put on the dress, didn't he say that was my idea the whole time?
Exactly right.
There it goes.
It's like I made this money. It's like, yeah, but what did you do to make the money is what's in dispute here. It's not no one's disputing you made the money.
Idea the entire time.
So then this was Kevin Hart's response to the I guess things that Katt Williams been saying here.
What the hell did Ludacris that had nothing to do with what Katt Williams said?
Right.
He was making reference to the whole selling out for the Fast and Furious checks, and like I said, he's a rapper, so that's the way that rappers
that came through about as clear as mud.
Right.
That's what Trump does.
We have to remember he had no problem except being in a movie where he literally went into outer space in like a Pinto. Okay, so
Pontiac Fiero, but I digress. I don't understand how that like Katt Williams could have heard that song, jammed out to it, and had no clue that had anything to do with him. That's the worst diss track, dude. That you're basically telling Katt Williams, "You're right, dude. I got nothing, but I got to say something back because you called my wife ugly."
Right.
Wow.
Yep. Like I said, and when Kevin Hart was with the dress, it was my idea the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just like Ludacris. It was my idea the whole time.
So here's Hart here.
I said it, and this sums it up well. Like you don't entertain the circus, you watch it, right? And when a lion comes out and rides the bike, you don't think about it too hard. You just go, okay, that's crazy. The lion's riding a bike. And then you go home and enjoy the rest of your day. I don't feed into the stuff at all. At the end of the day, it's all entertainment to a certain degree. So you just hope that people can be smart enough and have a tremendous amount of logic to just go and possibly do research or fact check. And if they do, then great. If they don't, then kudos to that as well. I just don't have the time for it. There's too much going on. So to your point, while marketing and promoting a movie,
quit, right,
I think the biggest priority for me is getting my fan base to understand how excited I am about the work that I put into this, because that's where my focus is getting eyeballs to the thing that took me about 4 months to shoot and even longer to develop and produce, and something I'm significantly proud of. And I owe it to my team at Heartbeat and to my fans to deliver the material in the best possible manner. So that's it for me. That's the focus. Anything else outside of those things, they don't really get an inkling of, I guess you say, what's the word?
Attention or
engagement.
Engagement,
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It
Notice
was my
how
idea
no
the
one's
whole
saying
time.
that. Notice that no one is saying that Katt's lying. That not one person said Katt is full of it.
Out of all the creatures at the circus, the elephant that balances on the balloon, the little ponies that the jockeys ride around with sparklers, and the girls with the little teddy tassels. You got the chimpanzees that come out and do their little dances in their funky little tutus. Out of all the animals at the circus, Kevin Hart compares Katt to a lion. And then also compares it to a lion on a bicycle to demonstrate also that this is such an outrageous thing that this creature has done. So out of character for this creature to have done, he's basically telling you that Katt Williams walked up and he stabbed me in the heart. You can hear him crying through this. I'm just here to promote this dumb airplane movie, and you're bringing up that mean man. He's taller than me. Isn't that enough?
No, it's not. That's the problem. But like I said, every lie has a grain of truth to it, and like I said, one way or another, someone's gonna wear the dress.
They get you in the dress. They get you in the dress. You see, I ain't lying. Me and Katt Williams ain't lying.
I forgot about Will Smith being a belly dancer.
Oh gosh, is this some sort of weird calendar that I'm not aware of?
Oh, it's 2024.
This is the conservative dad calendar after everyone whined about the bikinis.
That's a post you make on Twitter right now, Jacob. Just go right over there and post this picture right now. That's the post you make.
Conservative dad poster 2024.
Yep. Like I said, every single one, doesn't matter who you are, everyone has done it.
No, we wanted
you have to wonder.
We wanted diversity in drag, and now we got it.
And then, like I said, it's escalated to the point where, a lot of these guys have done a lot more than just wear a dress. Now, you have to wonder, hey, the casting couch isn't for women. Let's just put it that way. It's not just the actresses that are on the couch anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You remember Terry Crews when the Me Too thing came out. This is the saddest thing to me, okay? Like, I think about this like almost every week because this stuff comes up. Terry is on Ellen DeGeneres' show. And the Me Too thing is broken. They're talking about that. And he's explaining, right? He's explaining that the gay mafia runs his end of Hollywood. The comedy and I guess the family entertainment end is run by gays. So he's talking about how this person who's very powerful walks up to him and his wife at some ceremony and grabs a hold of his penis through his pants. Just honks on him and says, "You should be proud." And then proceeds on like that's perfectly fine to do to a man. And Ellen DeGeneres, she starts cackling. The audience starts cackling. They treat it like it's a joke. And Terry, he's just mortified because he's giving his Harvey Weinstein, explanation. If I went against that, I would have got fired. And Ellen is telling him, yes, you're going to get fired now that you've said something. And look, all of these people are going to cheer for it, Terry.
But unfortunately, this came out with all the Me Too stuff when that was going on, and I remember replying to like Terry Crews is acting like a giant fucking baby because there's no way to prove his story. You know what I mean? And
There's
it's
no
like,
way to prove there's Harvey Weinstein girls
why
either.
would True, except that everybody knew about Harvey Weinstein in the 90s. This was
I'm sure everybody knew about the mafia guys too.
Yeah, we don't like
right,
there's
but
been-
there's
been
a difference.
there's been
There's a difference in the situation.
That
You know
people
what I
talk
mean?
about
If
Harvey
this guy's
Weinstein
been named
and they're too
before,
afraid to
that
talk
would be
about the
something
mafia?
very different. But that's not what happened. You know, this guy doesn't have a reputation for doing that. So it's like, okay, is there more smoke here, or did this really occur? You know what I mean? Because I agree with side. I agree that this should be taken as seriously as any other accusation, and the fact that he's a big, strong, black man shouldn't be ignored. So I completely agree with that. It's just whether, how is that story true? Just from a inquisitive, point of view.
My implication of that story always was that he was put into position is that if he had turned around and rightly uppercutted that dude into the sun, his career would basically be over, right? Like that's pretty much like what it is. So it's almost like he had to sit there and take it in order
That's what
to
he
keep
told.
doing. Like,
That's what explained on Twitter was that he couldn't respond. He would have lost his career, and he told his wife that he was. I can't. I would have grabbed him by the throat, but that would have been over with. I would have been made into a criminal from that point on.
And it didn't help him in the long run either, just to hold that secret, because Katt Williams brings up Terry Crews. Katt Williams brings up that Terry Crews has tried 5 different avenues to get into entertainment. He went through that. He went through he did music. He did wrestling. He did, he's gone through a whole bunch of different types of ways to get into this business. And this was the closest way for him to get to it. And apparently it might be a bit tainted on, the wrong end of the stick there.
Well, and again, I mean, he's a very talented actor. I enjoy everything that Terry Crews appears in. He has an excellent taste for the movies that he's in. I mean, I know people don't necessarily like white girls, but I laugh my ass off every time he shows up and lays the moves on Marlon Wayans. I laugh so hard at that scene. And he's great. He's very convincing. He's also like that guy that can play that character that switches on a dime. You believe that he's able to go from this hard-ass military man into a guy that bakes angel cookies for Sunday church, that you could, again, like a very talented performer, but somehow locked out of things that Vin Diesel is put into. Like, take this, for instance. What if Bloodshot starred Terry Crews? You're thinking, oh, it'd be really funny, but what if he played it straight and it wasn't just Vin Diesel walking through gunfire for an hour and a half?
Yep.
Or that one movie, Bedtime Stories or whatever, where The Rock was some sort of was like a half action hero, half babysitter. That was it, the babysitter. Batista. Is that what it?
Or no, I was saying, or Dave Batista. Like he could easily replace Dave Batista,
Right. Yeah, and all of those
be a better actor.
Thrax. That'd be hilarious if he was Thrax.
That's what I mean. It's like and Terry just got passed over by all these other things. Well, meanwhile, all these wrestlers came in and kind of took his parts.
Right.
But
again,
and
they
he's
measure
a genuine
you.
and he's a genuinely good man in the sense that he does a lot of active donation work, and he gives back to his community as much as he possibly can. So it's not like he's a bad person in general. It's just that Hollywood doesn't like promoting good people.
If they were serious over there at DC about making a better DCU, James Gunn would be paving a red carpet for Terry Crews to play John Henry Irons, to play Steel.
Steel, yeah.
He's perfect for it on every front. He still meets the physical qualifications for it. He's got the acting chops. He has that stoic profile of a guy that can lift up a rocket-powered sledgehammer and look cool, Right. And no, total dead silence on that. But we're going to make sure that Lois Lane is the brains of the operation in this Superman's movie. Okay, that's important.
And he could take that role and make it amazing. It'd be the same Succession. This last year was what was it? Brendan Fraser coming out of nowhere and shocking the world by an amazing performance. This year it's I can't remember his name, but he came in and shocked the world with an amazing performance. It could be Terry Crews with this DCU character. And
all he has to do is just pay a 400-pound gay guy, then he'll be right there back in the good graces of Hollywood.
Right. Or put on a dress again.
And he was Brendan Fraser does also allege that he was assaulted, I believe, at the Golden Globes.
There you go.
And the whale was his comeback, and that's
comeback
why
10 years later. 10 years.
Ooh, you know what? Like, hey, you know what? I've got access to it. Over the next few months, I might whisper in Eric July's ear, you know that live action ISOM you want to make? There's Terry Crews who would look pretty good in black and orange. I'm just saying.
Just don't make any characters wearing a dress and you should be fine.
That's all we
I mean,
want.
look.
Stop wearing dresses, folks.
Look, it's clear that Katt Williams has had substance abuse issues. I don't think that's a shock to anyone, but I think people are very quick to say is that, oh, he's had drug problems, so don't take anything that he says seriously. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have had any interactions with people who are hooked on drugs, but a lot of the people who I know in the past who are hooked on drugs try to have a problem with always telling things they probably shouldn't, meaning that they usually have a problem with telling the truth rather than telling a lie. So that's what I'm getting. In my estimation, people are probably better off saying less information, and he's kind of the guy who's just going to say, I'm just going to say whatever comes to my mind because I don't care at this point. So
If you're going to play that game on Katt Williams, you have to play it with Robert Downey Jr., and they're not going to.
Nope. Or literally anyone else in Hollywood
That's
who has a drug problem. And guess what? It's almost all of them.
Yes. Cocaine was a very popular thing in the 80s and 90s.
2000s with Lindsay Lohan single-handedly. So. Yeah, that's a woman who aged like 15 years.
She kept my people and a lot of money. It was great times.
So yeah, any last thoughts? Just anything generally related to Katt Williams here before we wrap things up?
Didn't he say they wanted my booty hole? Didn't he say that in this interview? Yeah, I love that. I want that to be my ringtone. When I get a text message, I want that to be like, they wanted my booty hole to be like coming out of my phone. That'd be great.
Yeah, you got to watch the whole full interview with Katt Williams. I think at one point he even said that Harvey Weinstein told him straight up during like a team interview that he would literally suck his dick like right there in front of the table. Like literally he said that. Like that's what he said. So yeah.
Well, that thing of the Illuminati, did he take that from or did that incident inspire that scene in House Party where they go into the Illuminati meeting?
No, there's been Illuminati rumors for at least 20 years now, at least 20 years. And I think before, like if you had listened to it, like me and Rob talked about this a few times, like if you had listened to those rumors like back in 2009, no one probably would have believed you at the time because you didn't really see it as blatantly as you see it now. Now you hear somebody say about Illuminati and secret societies and Satan worships, like, no, yeah, I totally believe it. Like there's nothing that really prevent me from believing that it's going on anymore. So.
A strange town this place is.
Yeah, and I still have daydreams, by the way. I still have daydreams of being like, yeah, I want to go work at Warner Brothers and like work in their like Blu-ray department and be part. And I'm like, you're not going to California.
Snyder.
You're not moving to LA. You're not just no. You're not
because you know what it is.
We're still for that. Yes. Yeah,
we're still hooked into the facade of what Hollywood is. It's like we still think it's a place where people just move to the town and become a movie star. Maybe you'll get booked into a TV role. It's like,
Robert, I mean, have you not read Hollywood Babylon? I keep telling you, you should read that.
I haven't read the book.
And you'll get a taste of decadence from the golden age. If you really want to do that, go down to Atlanta and work for Turner Classic Movies. You know, replace Ben Mankiewicz or oh God.
So here's what I can tell you that's gonna white pill you, or maybe not you exactly, Rob, but some people out here about this. Right now, if you're into the prestige of filmmaking, right, like the proper way to do it, the Spielberg way, the Hitchcock way, whatever you prefer, it is your methodology to get the film executed in whatever way it's done. You can do that now with the power of crowdfunding. We just watched a worldwide phenomenon for less than $15 million called Godzilla -1. That's going to come out again in black and white, by the way, because that's once isn't enough. Now we're going to take the color out of it and charge you more. So it's happening again, where this monolith of entertainment called Godzilla is taking over because it's a very simple idea. It's a giant monster that attacks. People think it's interesting for whatever reason. I like it too. I don't know why, but I just like it. So here it is. So if you take those kind of thoughts about that, you can make your own. And here's the best part. These companies are collapsing now. These giant pillars of entertainment in the West, at least, are collapsing. So if you play your cards right and you build up enough money, you can buy their library from them and then have the rights to be able to do whatever you want with these actual storied films that matter to culture. Either you can preserve them or recreate them faithfully with a new narrative. Whatever you want to do, that can be done now. And that's what I want to urge people to do is make your own stuff, become rich enough to buy the things you want to preserve. Look, Nick Cage had a house full of old creepy paintings, for God's sakes, because he didn't want them to just be gone, I guess. So
I
get a house full of creepy paintings.
Completely agree with you because you're absolutely right. And the advent of even digital filmmaking, it allows you, like, if you get a small budget, you can make, and even shooting in a specific way, you can make a really good movie for not much money. I mean, we saw this with Terrifier 2. It only cost and that's on the higher end of a something like that, $250,000, and it made a shitload of money. My dream is much more like something that will never exist again. And it's like the new Hollywood. It's like when Scorsese and Spielberg were kids, basically, and had full run of the fucking studio system of all the resources, and they made incredible movies. Now, that will never happen again on that level, just because the world's changed. That world no longer exists.
Yeah, it kind of is in a way, but it's the bizarro version of it, where instead of like actual people who give a shit about film, it's woke kids that are. Yeah,
but you could go on location. You could go on location to a foreign country, or New York City, or the middle of Kansas. But you actually went there to film, and there's an artistic intent behind that. Not to mention that you can tell when something's shot on a studio lot versus on location, and like that kind of that investment no longer exists. Now it can again.
He's got a point.
It's going to be different.
Yeah, Rob's got a point, because I remember reading this, like, I don't know, maybe back 2015 or so, around Trump got elected. It was when they found pieces of Jabba's floating barge out in the desert near the pyramids. I guess that's where they filmed, was like however many hundreds of miles away from the pyramids. And these archaeologists thought that they found something like really important, like some boat from the Nile and stuff like that. And then they finally started running across the parts that were like serial numbered and things like that. So they went back and searched it. Sure enough, it was part of Jabba's barge that they blew up out there during the filming. So you're absolutely right that these guys were allowed to go to a foreign country and potentially contaminate history, making a rubber slugs boat, a sand boat, explode.
Had they found those
wizard movie,
right? Had they found those artifacts 1,000 years later, they think we were gods.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of similar to when they found the sphinxes from the original 10 Commandments out in California. I mean, they were puzzled as to how they found how these sphinxes were out here in California. It's like, oh yeah, that's from the original Silent Cecil B. DeMille version. So it's nothing new, although granted
it's great. We're eventually going to reach that point where all this film stuff that was made, like that big basin that was made for the Abyss, that Cameron had made for the Abyss, that eventually society is going to just either crumble or forget about that stuff, and it's going to be treated like the pyramids. It's going to be treated like these 8 wonders of the world, like this giant water tank that had no origin.
They go to Philadelphia. Who was this Rocky that we've heard so much about in the parables?
There is a silver knight in the grand kingdom of Detroit, and
right.
He is the Robert of Cop.
So yeah, all I gotta say is that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Hollywood. I mean, I don't know how you listened to all 2 hours of this show and couldn't come to that conclusion like on your own. But I also have another DVD, but a movie here you could watch called "They Sold Their Souls for Rock and Roll," and it's basically 3 straight hours of people admitting that they sold their souls to the devil for fame and fortune. Their own
as a kid, I used to watch that every Halloween. It used to scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, like legit the devil, by the way. Not like, haha, I sold my soul to the devil, rock and roll and drugs. Real, the real devil.
All of these were at the crossroads. All of these took place in the crossroads.
The one with George Harrison, the story with George Harrison, he's like, I wrote, what is it? The one about Jesus, though. The one about God.
Yeah.
He's like, I wrote that specifically so that Christians will start saying, praise him, praise God. And then when I switch over to Hare Krishna, then the Christians will start singing Hare Krishna. And it was to subliminally mind
My sweet Lord.
My sweet Lord. If you sing My Sweet Lord and you get into the My Sweet Lord part, but then he switches over to Hare Krishna, that was his magic. That was his plan for people to start chanting Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it goes from Hallelujah to Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
You hear the song.
That was in the documentary. And then they claimed that was the reason why God gave him cancer, which wasn't nice.
Wasn't he also attacked in his
That wasn't
home?
very nice.
Didn't somebody break into George Harrison's home and like stab him or something?
Yes.
No, I mean, it does say God will not be mocked, but no, that's a story for another day. So now we're gonna go ahead and sign off with today's show. It's been a lovely night with you people and everyone here listening to the chat below. So we'll go ahead and shoot this off. Let you guys promote anything you got coming up. Let's start with this guy so we can get him out of the way. Rick, what do you got coming up?
More reviews, and I'll finally be watching Echo. I believe it comes out tonight. And I also will be. I had to reschedule Mean Girls, and I've never seen the original, so I will go into this fresh. I saw The Beekeeper, so I will be able to talk about that. Yep, just more reviews, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, cool. Let's go to this guy over here. Cider, what you got coming up?
We have the 01 stream over on Bounding into Comics tomorrow, and then Thursday is the Sky Talker stream with Stephen Kent. Not quite sure what that topic's going to be just yet, but tune in to find out, just like me.
All right, then. I'll go over to this guy over here, Mr. Rob Motto. What you got coming?
So we got The Beekeeper coming up. I'm going to probably go see that Friday, and then I will be writing a review for it. Kind of getting a slow start with movie watching, probably because I'm just trying to take them, a little slower this year after almost watching 1,000 last year. And yeah, it's, the Titans pretty much are doing a full rebuild, so that's a shit show. And, just trying not to get irritated at people who need roadside service. So yeah, but yeah, check out my Twitter. I'll be on there. Usually people are yelling at me because I denigrate female directors or something. I like to rile people up. So that's usually what's going on over there.
All right. Eddie.
Yo. What do I have? I'm never prepared for these things. So on Fandom Pulse, I wrote a column about Martin Scorsese. His next film is going to be a Jesus epic. It says it's going to be an epic, but it's going to basically be a retelling of this story of bringing Jesus into modern times. And he seems to be really, really into the idea of, trying to pass some sort of wisdom off as, what have you. And he really seems to really believe in the story of Jesus, and he thinks that the story of Jesus can really change the world. So if you want to read some snippets of that interview, check out fandompulse.com.
All right. Letting you know what we got coming up here. As I told you guys earlier in the show, my site is back up. I'm still posting some other backlog things. There'll be some articles and movie reviews coming up there, but all of our shows are up there right now. Everything that I've written over the last 8 years is up there. Got a fresh new look in the site, so go check that out. It's in the link below. Letting you guys know, I can wait to make this announcement, but we're going to be doing a sports show on Friday nights in a few months, so this won't happen until like late March, but I'll have more details later on about that sports show and what is exactly going to entail there. So just stay tuned for that. What I got coming up here, like I said, it'll be on 01 with Bounding in the Comics tomorrow of Cider and Spencer, and then this Friday we're going to be doing our Friday Night Movie Club. We're going to be reviewing The Beekeeper and the Mean Girls remake. This coming Monday on the Bible Lens podcast, I'm reviewing the Book of Clarence. If anyone else wants to join me for that review, you can join me on that one as well. But we're going to talk about that film because I did a whole thing about the Nation of Islam and the 5% Nation on last night's show. So go check that out. What that cult believes is absolutely insane. It's very enlightening, so go check that out as well. And then next Tuesday night here on the Barroom Podcast, we've been hyping this up for like 7 months now, and it's finally going to happen. Next Tuesday night, episode 81, we are reviewing all 5 episodes of Echo on Disney Plus. It is Echo Mania is taking.
Oh no.
We're gonna watch and review all 5 episodes. We're gonna talk about it right here on next week's show. So can't wait to see that one. I personally am gonna love it. Everything that I hear about the show is amazing. It sounds great, and I can't imagine a better TV show to cap up 2024 with. So until then, thank you to all the guys who here on the show with me. Thanks to Orange Hat who was here earlier tonight as well. To all you lovely people in the chat, shout out to all you guys. Thank you guys for joining us here. We're gonna go ahead and sign off. We're hitting the outro and getting out of here. So hopefully I'll see you guys Wednesday, if not Friday, if not Monday, if not next Tuesday here for Echo. Wave to the crowd. Adios. Goodbye. We're out. Peace.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out!
You get the hell out!
Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.